the dark haze. Ladies of the night with eyes of red, vampires in the alleys where good men dread, wolfmen howling beneath the pale moon. But justice is coming and coming soon. From saloons to graveyards where evil sleeps, they walk among us, secrets they keep, nightmare hunters with souls ablaze, cleaning up this town through the dark haze. Cryptids themselves, yet they stand tall against the darkness, answering the call for every lost soul, every whispered prayer. They fight for the light in the midnight air. From saloons to graveyards where evil sleeps, they walk among us, secrets they keep, nightmare hunters with souls ablaze, cleaning up this town through the dark haze. The night is young, the hunt begins. For against the darkness where hope never ends.
Good evening, folks, and thank you all for joining us on another edition of the Nightmare Hunters podcast. We got a full house tonight. All four of the boys are in the house. So we got a good show for you guys. We're really looking forward to bringing this one to you. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to introduce my co-hosts. I'm D.A. Roberts, as you guys well know, but this is Carrie Pocket Doc Davis, coming to us from the frozen wastelands of southern Colorado. We got Steve Wildman Monroe coming to us from the semi-frozen wastelands of just across town here in Springfield, Missouri, which is cold as heck, by the way. And right over here is Robbie Jed Rains. He's coming to us from the great state of South Carolina, and we are going to bring you guys a great show tonight. Hope you guys are as excited as we are, because it's going to be a lot of fun. Boys, how the heck are you?
Quiet. I am rolling.
And as always, I've never had this much fun with my pants on, so I just decided not to wear any.
Nice. It's a visual.
That's why we shot from here up.
Yeah, it's a visual I didn't need, Steve.
Yep. You know, and suddenly the chat dropped by half.
We have got a full house already. I mean, we are 2 minutes into the show and 105 people already in the chat. This is fantastic. Thank you guys for being with us. I want to welcome each and every one of you guys here tonight. We are so grateful to have you guys with us. And tonight, I think you guys are going to really like this, because we're going to be talking about standing in the dark, the Yakima Upright Predator. And this one's going to be a good one, folks. There are places in this world where the dark feels older than the daylight, where the night doesn't just fall, it rises. It climbs out of the canyons, rolls down the ridges, and settles over the land like a living thing. On the Yakima Reservation, people have learned to respect that darkness because something moves inside of it. For nearly half a century, witnesses across this region have described the same impossible figure, a towering shape that walks like a man, but isn't one. Long arms, massive shoulders, eyes that never quite catch the light. A creature that crosses highways in seconds, watches from tree lines without making a sound, and leaves behind footprints too large and too deep to belong to anything we know. It doesn't roar for attention. It doesn't charge out of the woods because it doesn't need to. It moves with purpose. It chooses when it wants to be seen, and when it doesn't want to be found, it isn't. So tonight we're following its trail from the high passes of Sadus, where a state trooper watched a giant silhouette stride across the road, to the canyon walls that echoes with a scream that no human throat could produce, to the quiet neighborhoods where something heavy walked between houses while families slept, to the deep timber where fresh tracks appeared and vanished like the creature stepped out of the world and back into it. 9 encounters, 5 decades, 1 presence. Something is out there in Yakima at night, something that has watched this land for long before we ever set foot on it. And tonight, we're going to look back. You're listening to the Nightmare Hunters podcast, folks. I'm D.A. Roberts. Stay close to the fire. The dark is moving. So, boys, this first one is pretty chilling. So, you guys want to rock, paper, scissors for who takes the first one? We got 9 stories tonight, so bear with us. It's going to be a good one. Doc, how about you start us out?
Why not? I'll be happy to. I will be happy as I'll get out. So, this is the 1974 Sadus. Is that the way you pronounce that?
I believe it's Sadus.
Sadus Pass police encounter. Now, this was from a Washington State trooper. This is publicly archived, so there's nothing hidden about that. It's open information. And this was a law enforcement type sighting. Now, the night was it was a cold and clear night over the Sadus Pass in 1974. It was a high desert stillness, the kind where the sound carries for miles. And if y'all ever been out in that area or in the high desert, it does carry for miles, especially on those cold nights. Darkness feels heavier than it should. A Washington State trooper was on a routine patrol cruising the winding highway that cuts through the Yakima Nation's rugged terrain. Now, his headlights were carving a narrow tunnel through the night, illuminating nothing but asphalt and sagebrush and the occasional glint of frost. And as he rounded a sweeping bend, something massive stepped into the beam of his headlights. Now, at first, he thought it was a person, someone crossing the highway where no one should be, but the scale was all wrong. The shoulders were far too broad, the arms hung far too low, and the figure wasn't running or stumbling. It was walking. It was walking upright, smooth, deliberate strides covering ground. These strides were very long, very fluid. And the trooper hit the brakes, man. Boom. He braked hard. The creature crossed the entire 2-lane highway in seconds. It never even looked at the patrol car, never flinched, never hesitated. It just moved on like it had done this 1,000 times before and disappeared in the tree line without so much as a single snap of a branch or crunch of gravel underfoot. Now, the trooper just sat there with his engine idling, staring in the darkness where the figure had vanished. And he stepped out of the car, listening. Nothing. No movement, no breathing, no retreating, footsteps or anything like that. Just the cold silence of that pass that he was in. And he radioed in possible large animal crossing, but he never identified it as a bear or elk or a human. In his report, he described the gait as smooth and non-human. The size was massive and the speed was unnatural. And so this definitely, in his heart of hearts, and from what he knows, this was not a hiker, and this was definitely not a prankster. This was something else moving through Sadus Pass that night, and something that walked like a man, but most definitely was not one. So this lends us to our what we're going to be talking about for this little segment. This is a state trooper, right? So. What did he have to gain? For all of us, chat and my esteemed colleagues here, he was a trained observer. Yes, so
absolutely.
As a state trooper, he's got the credibility built in. What would he have to gain from telling us a BS story? Right?
Actually, he'd have a lot to lose.
That's right. What have y'all always talked about? You and Robbie have always talked about this. You start talking craziness, you can go in for a whiz quiz. You know, you're gonna get your pee checked because they think you smoking some left-handed cigarettes or something.
Or some defense attorney's going to hear about it and tear you apart on the stand.
Bingo, because there goes your credibility. They're like, well, he's sitting there talking about some kind of man-like creature, and this guy's supposed to be, taking care of enforcing the law. So there's that. So he was trained observer. So he's already got credibility because he's a state trooper, and he was not embellishing. Something else, and we've talked about this on several shows, many shows. The gait. How many strides have we been talking about whenever somebody's crossing the street?
It takes quite a few strides to cross a street for a full-grown adult.
Yeah, or even a two-lane road. What was it? Was it, Robbie? Was it like each lane's like 12 feet wide or something like that?
Something like that.
10 to 12 feet, something like that.
Yeah. So you're talking something that can cross this and in a matter of 2 to 3 strides. What if you're talking something? If we're talking, let's say 20 feet and 3 strides, what's that? About a 6-foot stride?
Yeah,
that's at least.
Yeah.
So what would that be in as far as estimated height? I mean, Robbie, you're the tracker. You're the pro on that side. What would you think? 12 feet?
At least.
What's the average human stride? What, about
2.5, 3 feet?
Yeah,
Mine's only 8 feet.
That's running. That's running. That's not walking. Walking is slower than that.
Julie, to answer your question real quick, and Robbie can verify this, the dash cam only comes on when you activate your lights.
Activate lights or a crash occurs.
Oh. Well,
other than that, you have to actually manually start it.
Typical.
But here's the thing: this was 1974. There were no dash cams.
There were no dash cams back then.
Because when I started, there was no such thing as a dash cam. We didn't get cameras till they didn't become mainstream until 99 ish.
A lot of small departments still don't have them.
Yeah.
They can't afford it.
They don't have the funds for them.
Oh, well, you figure you're a typical 6-foot, human male. You've got a walking stride of about 30 inches, 32 inches. If they're
32, I think 32 is the average for a walking stride. Then if you're running, it bumps up to about 3.
Doc, what was the old cadence? Dress it right and cover down 30 inches all around.
Yeah. Dress right, dress. Yeah, I mean, and like this gait thing. A bear doesn't have a smooth gliding stride and definitely doesn't go upright. If a bear's crossing a highway, it's going to be on all fours. It's going to
be scooting to get out of the traffic.
And it's going to be scooting. Elk or moose, the same thing.
Well, and if the bear's walking upright, they tend to kind of toddle. They look like a 800-pound child get ready to fall over.
They look like Foster Brooks walking around when he was playing like he was a drunk dude. They look like a drunk bear,
Oh.
And then how that dude, what was one of the things that they said when the dude crossed the road? It didn't hesitate, didn't flinch, didn't even stop. It didn't pay any attention to him. So, usually at least if it's a deer or an elk or something, they're going to be looking and you're going to catch eye shine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Off the side.
A lot of them will look at you and freeze.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a deer, you get that
deer in the headlights. Yeah.
Right.
And that's why they call it that. And so this dude just moved on like he wasn't bothered. And then the last thing I was thinking that caught my attention was whenever it left the roadway and entered into the woods, he didn't hear any sound.
If what we were postulating is that the bottom of its foot is soft, kind of like an elephant's, it would deaden that sound. It would be able to walk very quickly and very stealthily.
It's a very sound absorbing. It almost like it melds and molds around whatever it's stepping on, right? That's kind of what an elephant's foot does. It kind of just kind of molds over, and so it's actually better for them walking. It's more stable, but it also enables something of that size to have a great degree of stealth to it too.
It's like a memory foam feet.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. And so that was one of the things that stuck with me. Now there's something as far as avoiding eye contact or avoiding direct contact. This obviously didn't appear to be an aggressive encounter. Would y'all concur with that?
Yeah.
Right. It was just completely unconcerned that he was there at all.
It was basically like point A to point B, and you're just in the middle of you're in A.5, you know, and you're just something that's got to be moved around. So it definitely was not. I don't think it was in its own. I think it was in its element and was not fleeing. It was just moving around. So, you know, that's one of my things. I don't know.
Well, it was kind of like the other night when Steve and I went out to check on Eric. We saw something cross the road, and it looked like a feline. It was completely black, and it was big. It was very big, and it crossed the road fairly quickly and was completely unfazed by the fact that we were there.
Oh yeah, I mean, we reacted to it. But...
It's unbothered. Yeah, and Long Queen had a good point too. They wouldn't want to ruin their night vision by looking at the lights either. Absolutely. I mean, these creatures have a lot of rods. That's your black and white. That's your night vision. And if you look into bright light, it'll take, for a human, it takes us at least, with the number of rods we have, it takes us at least a half an hour to regain the night vision once we've lost it. So that's the reason pirates wore eye patches, because that wasn't, they didn't have an eye. It was that way. If they went down in the hold, this pupil was already dilated, so they just lift that patch up and they could actually see below deck a lot better in low light.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and another thing, you could probably test to this to your duck. We've got that pigment in our eyes at night too, that visual purple. And that's all degrades, and as soon as the light hits it, you got to build that stuff up to help enhance what those rods can do. I would assume that an animal that functions at night's got to have a similar pigment, if not better. And
they have a higher concentration of rods. And if they got eye shine, that means they've got the tapetum lucidum, which is that reflective portion of tissue on the back of the retina there, which helps give the night vision to them, because it has it, and it's basically like a light intensifier, an intensifier tube for night vision.
Right.
So we talked about the height of this thing. Definitely a big critter, at least 8 feet, maybe like Robbie said, 12 feet or more.
For a 6 foot stride length, that's a big animal.
That's a big animal, man. And the locomotion, it's as far as its movement goes, you've got really long legs, big long femur to tibia ratios. It's got non-human biomechanics, but it moves very, very human.
Yeah, even if it had been a guy in a suit, so to speak, he couldn't have recreated that stride length.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He'd have to be hopping. And this thing definitely was not jumping. It was not bounding. It was just
it was fluid.
It was just very fluid and smooth and walking.
I was going to say, humans, especially when they're trying to take long strides, they don't tend to glide.
No, we're not
we'll take a big strides. There's constant, vertical movement of our head. If you think about, like, if you watch somebody like in a marching band, they take those little 28-inch steps, partly to make sure they line up with the hash marks on the football field, but partly so they glide and they're not, bouncing their instrument around.
I'm a band nerd. I still play sax, but I played alto sax in the band, and it was like as big as I was. It was like me carrying a baritone sax around then. It's called a heel to toe glide step.
I still walk like that.
Yeah, you have that glide step, man. And so the only thing that moves is your lower body.
Well, Robbie can tell you we're taught the same thing when you're clearing buildings.
Yep, 100%.
To walk with your knees slightly bent and that glide step, because it keeps your weapon on target.
And it's like because I teach that at that significant company when I'm doing training classes, is where we say basically pretend you're a tank, and your lower half of your body is your tank treads and your upper half is your turret, and your turret moves around stable on a stable platform, and that platform that enables you to maintain better control of your system. So yeah, I mean, and this thing moving around like that, it shows it's very, very comfortable. I mean, it crossed that highway too, which, I mean, that thing basically is like, I fear no evil because I'm the meanest SOB in this valley.
Right.
And and the fact that where it is, that pass is extremely remote, very lightly populated, and it's a natural corridor between forested terrain and high desert terrain. So it could. What would y'all think? Why would it be going from one place to the other as a big creature like that?
Following deer, looking for a water source. There's any number of reasons why it would cross.
That'd probably be my thing. Is it's going to be following like a food or water source. It's going to be trying to get some sustenance.
And something to bear in mind is this is the Yakima Native American Reservation, so it's extremely remote. Yeah, he was probably the only car on the road for God only knows how long.
Right. Yeah, and when he pulled his car, and when he said he got out of the car, I was going, I don't know how I feel about that. But he didn't hear anything, and so,
well, Doc, in his defense, we got out of the car.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean,
we all got out of the car.
We all got out of the car. Yeah, exactly. We all got out of the car. So thinking about this. And this is for everybody out here that's watching right now. So we know this is the perfect habitat for a big elusive animal. So if a trained officer, this is for your chat, so give us some good interaction here. If a trained officer says, "Hey, that gate was not human," what kind of weight would you get? Would you get at? Would that carry weight? And also, what do you think about the creature's total lack of fear or reaction? It wasn't even bothered. So what do y'all think about that out there? And what do y'all think, guys?
I personally don't know about the state of Washington because I don't know much about Washington law enforcement. But if Washington is anything like Missouri, the Missouri State Highway Patrol have some of the best training in the state. Their academy is way longer than the standard law enforcement academy. So to me, that would seem like a state trooper would have even more credibility than just somebody like myself who just went to the academy.
Right. I mean, and because I don't know, I know out here in Colorado, the State Trooper Academy is extremely difficult and extremely long and very, very rigorous.
Same thing with here in Missouri. A lot of people wash out of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's got a high washout rate. And so
it's like going through ranger selection or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Not quite that bad, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, these guys,
and you have to stay there the whole time. I mean, it's like going through military training.
And
even getting in, I mean, it is tough.
Yeah.
The selection process takes months.
Even for a veteran law enforcement officer, it can prove to be a difficult process too. So so I mean, this stuff is these guys have have the credibility there. So I mean, as far as if him saying it doesn't have a human gait, I believe him. Because I mean, like I said, he had, like DA said, he's got more to lose by saying this stuff than just by being quiet.
Yeah, he's not gaining any cred by seeing a critter.
In fact, if anything, he's gonna, much like Robbie did, catch crap from his fellow officers as soon as they find out.
Yeah, exactly. And again, and that's why, even like Robbie said, it took a lot for him to even say anything, and he understands now why. I mean, he's always understood why people don't say what they do say when they have seen something, because they're
especially if you're in a profession where you've got something to lose.
Yeah, when you've got the trust of the public, that's kind of scary,
Oh yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are probably a lot quieter about this stuff.
Hey boys, before we move into the next segment, there's something I'd like to show you. My buddy Josh sent this to me just a couple of days ago. He was going back over the Joe Bald image and found something else in the image.
Oh.
You guys, this is the first time I've showed this to anyone other than Noah. So I'm going to play this for you. I may play it a couple of times just so you guys can get a look at it. It may not show through real well over YouTube, but if you watch it on like I've got a big monitor, if you watch it on the monitor, you can see the shape of something fairly big, you'll clearly see the eye shine. But every time we've tried to enhance it, it's just a shadow within a shadow. We don't really see too much gain by changing the enhancements. But Josh did manage to get this out of it. So let me see what you guys think.
Ooh.
And just off that road right there, it drops off. So whatever that is pretty dang tall. It goes at that right off that road, that section, it angles down toward the lake. So if you were to go off that area, you're going down into a small ravine. So whatever that is pretty big. And if you notice, you see actually in a couple of spots, you just catch a glimpse of it a couple of times. But that one spot, if you're looking real close, you'll see a shape moving within those shadows. When it ends, I'll play it again.
That was very interesting. Dang. What do you think about that, Doc? That was kind of scary, wasn't it, buddy? Doc doesn't care. He's snoring.
I'll play it again. Travis, thank you for sponsoring the channel.
Man, that's awesome. Thank you, Travis. Ooh. Yeah.
And you can clearly see there's two eyes.
Yeah.
Well,
Big
if you watch it move.
Well, and you see the distortion. It turned to look at the headlights.
Right. And if you watch carefully, above and to the, you just right there a second ago, you just saw more eye shine above that tree. Mm-hmm. So there were at least a couple of them out there. I want to start that again.
It's like when it first comes into frame, it looks like it's looking at about the driver's 5 o'clock or so.
Right.
And then it turns and looks dead 6. Before it disappears, moves away.
Dang.
So we're still finding new stuff in this Joe Bald video. And here in just a second, there, right above the trees, did you see it?
Mm-hmm.
It flashed for just a second. You've got to really be watching. What do you guys think?
I'm glad that the cameraman was in a vehicle.
Driving too damn slow.
That's from the same video. That's actually part of the intro and outro for the show.
That's ironic.
Robbie, they're driving too slow.
Clearly, Doc wasn't driving.
all you would see would be a blur.
And here,
you'd hear, oh heck no, and then you just hear the engine rev up.
Nope. You want to see that dollhouse? Nope.
Yep.
I didn't know modern cars had a 4-barrel.
If you were seeing a Doc drive from an external point of view, you see the vehicle kind of elongate like it goes to warp.
We're going into warp speed.
That's another new find out of the Joe Bald video.
That's interesting. No, and that's and who found that?
Josh Jones.
Oh wow, that's pretty freaking cool, man.
50.
Northwoods Cryptid. Yeah, you are not wrong, sir. I do prefer driving at warp 5, preferably warp 6.
Doc's got a little bit of a lead foot, especially when it comes to that dollhouse.
Well, I'm only 5'6" and I got a size 11, so I got to put it somewhere.
You're like those old toys the kids had, Rescue Heroes. It's all the weight's all on the feet.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, what was there? Okay, so there were definitely 2 sets of eyes. And there was someone in chat was like, was there 3 sets of eyes?
I don't know if I saw a third set, but I haven't. I want to slow that down and go over at like 25% speed.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I'll send that to all three of you guys, and you guys can take a look at it on your own computers.
And Dr. Sharp said something too. Those eyes are far apart, especially, and I noticed that too, from that distance. Even at that distance, those eyes are far apart, which means what's that? How big is that noggin?
It's a big animal.
He's got a huge cranium. It's like an orange in a toothpack. It's huge.
And
Mrs. Moon says she saw 3 sets.
Say it again, Robbie.
They're forward facing.
Exactly, which means they are
Predators.
They're predatory. Absolutely.
Lone Queen says looked like there were 2 low and 1 high.
Awesome.
Well, I tell you what, let's just play that rascal again and take a look.
Too low.
Roll that.
Here we go.
Bean footage.
Ooh. Put my spectacles on. Okay, there's 1.
All right. Stop right there, DA. Move forward just a little bit and stop right there. All right.
I'm going to have to put that up another way because I've got it uploaded to the channel.
Well,
let me stop it here, and I will bring that up on a separate screen and just share the screen. So give me just a second.
Yeah.
Because I should be able to slow it down.
I think I know where you're going, Robbie, with that.
Well,
Hold
I'm
on
intrigued.
just a second.
Was there something off to the left of those eyes that you saw?
closer back to the vehicle.
Okay, so
He's
give me
got
just a
frame.
second. I'm going to see if I can change the speed. Apparently on this player I can't. Yeah, I don't have a way to adjust the speed on this one, but I should be able to.
Can you pause it?
Yeah, I'll be able to. I'll definitely be able to pause it.
All right,
Give me just a second to share the screen. Okay. Okay. Here it is. Tell me when you want me to pause it. I'm going to start it now.
As soon as the eyes show up that we've been looking at, get ready. Well, keep
Right there.
Yeah, stop right there. All right. If you look to the right of the screen, about a little bit further, a little bit.
Well, right here, there looks like there's two sets of eyes.
Well, yeah, but if you come back the other way, come from where you're at on the play button, stop right there. Move the mouse to the right, the other right.
Okay.
Back just no, you went the wrong way. See where the
Over
play
here?
button is, right? Get on, put the mouse on, put your cursor on the play button. Now move
Okay.
to the right. A little bit more. Stop. Now go straight up. Stop. Look right at
Oh,
the
Yep.
cursor.
So if there were two sets over here and that set there and then another set over here, that's at least four.
got a whole dang squad.
Because there's two right there.
Yep.
Let me back that up just a hair. See, one there, one there.
Yeah.
And then it gets real bright because it must have looked straight at it. Then you got the set Robbie's talking about.
That's interesting. Well, hello, little man.
Well, I definitely think stopping to change a tire along there would be
Yeah.
ill-advised.
Well, and Dr. Sharp says, it appears to me that it was looking down the road, then turns towards the headlights.
Right there. Did you see it? You get a glimpse of lights, eyes right up here.
Yep.
I want to bump it back just a little bit. Watch right up here.
It due to happen so quick.
Yeah.
Go back.
Okay, watch this section right up in here.
There it was.
See it?
Dude, it was.
Yep.
It's
It was there for like a frame.
Well, because I think it's like what everybody's saying too. It's catching the headlights and they're turning away from the headlights.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I can get a better program where I can slow that down to like 25%, then we should be able to isolate that. But there's multiple sets of eye shine sticking out of there.
Man, I wish we could do like the movies do and go enhance.
Yeah, no kidding.
Hey, cut
Right.
this background out, because I guarantee if you could cut if you could add a little more contrast and see what's in there, you could actually see whatever it is moving around in there, through the shadows.
Or-
if you could
Yeah.
relate the shadows.
Or if the vehicle was driving with some big KC lights on it.
Yeah. Yeah. If I brought my truck out there, we'd have.
That's some bright old lights.
I've got a lot of lights on that truck.
If I
So
can't
we're
see you, I
seeing
will
potentially-
CT you.
We're seeing potentially 4, possibly even 5 sets of eyes in there.
Well, that's a family unit.
Or a hunting group.
Hunting party. Was it some of the veterans out there, including the present company, you back me up on this. The smallest divisible military unit is a squad, right?
Yeah.
How many's in a squad? What, 4, 5, 8? 8?
Because you got a fire team. A fire team can be 2 to 4.
Okay. Because I was thinking on, the couple of breach teams I see my brother on, there were 4 of them. But they're
Yeah.
cops, not soldiers. But there's some overlap in technique. So I figured I can't imagine them ever going out with less than 4, because you got to have 2 groups of buddies in case something goes south. Somebody to stay with a wounded man and a pair to go back for help.
Right.
Huh. Anyway, I'm reading human thoughts into this whole thing, but
All right. We need to get to segment 2 where we're going to be a 4-hour show tonight.
Mm-mm.
Well, now that the troopers encounter, we've talked about that. That wasn't the last time something massive and upright has seen crossing the road in the Yakima region. In fact, 20 years later, another driver, this time near White Swan, saw a creature step out of a ditch and cross the road in just a few strides. Same region, same behavior, same impossible proportions. So, Steve, you want to take segment 2?
yeah, sure. So White Swan, Washington sits on the southwestern edge of the Yakima Reservation. It's a patchwork of farmland, timber, long stretches of quiet road where the night feels deeper than it should. In 1994, God, I'm feeling old, a local resident was driving home late, kind of late where the world's gone still and the only sound is the hum of your engine. The witness was alone, headlights cutting through the darkness, when something stepped out of the ditch ahead. At first, it looked like a person, tall, upright, broad. But as the vehicle closed the distance, the shape resolved into something far larger. The figure was covered in dark hair, its arms hanging low, almost to the knees. It didn't turn toward the car. It didn't flinch. It simply stepped out of the ditch and continued to cross the road in 3 long strides. Sounds familiar. The witness braked hard, heart pounding, watching the creature disappear into the opposite ditch and vanish into the tree line. No sound, no crashing brush, no retreating footsteps. Just gone. The witness sat there stunned, replaying the moment. The proportions were wrong for human. Stride length was impossible. Movement was smooth, powerful, confident, like an animal that knew exactly where it was going. The witness later filed a report describing the creature as massive, hair-covered, walking upright, arms unusually long, crossing the road with unnatural speed. This wasn't a shadow. This wasn't a trick of the headlights. This was a creature moving through the White Swan with purpose, and it wasn't the first time something like this had been seen in this region.
Wow.
No, that's eerily similar to the highway patrolman's.
It
Crossing.
is. It is. Stride length of 4 to 5 feet. So that's got to put it, well, we saw it on the conservative side, 7 foot up to 10, 11.
It said it crossed the road in 3 strides. So that's a big stride.
Well, damn. Even a 2-lane road, you're talking 24. That's an 8-foot stride?
At least.
That's a big unit.
Yeah.
That's
Shoot.
a big unit right there, son.
I can't cross 8 feet doing backflips, and I'm 6
Maybe.
feet tall.
Yeah, maybe jumping. Yeah, I mean, so stride length 4 to 5 feet, height well above 7. I mean, yeah, the height. I would say this thing is probably minimum 8 feet, 9 feet,
Probably at least.
and then that's like minimum. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not making 8-foot strides when it's 7 feet tall, unless it's proportioned like an octopus.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. What about the arms hanging down the knees? That's very primate. Yeah.
Right.
Very.
And is
similar.
often described with Bigfoot that its arms are longer than a human's would be.
Right.
Hmm.
So.
Knightley says, DA, there was a sighting of a Bigfoot in Texas by a trucker outside of Garden Valley in November last year in the daylight. This last summer, there was a sighting by a lady, one crossed the road in front of her car just out here by Cassville, here in Missouri. A daylight sighting.
Yep. It crossed kind of like that too. The story we heard that it basically had no cares to give.
Yeah, I didn't look at her, didn't slow down, just crossed the road in like 3 or 4 strides.
Rodney's wife's sighting was during the day, early morning.
And Artemis Huntress got us. Honestly, I don't really think they're primates. I'm not saying they're primates. I'm just saying that's a characteristic of
right, and
of them.
That and hominids are still on the primate family tree.
Right. We're still in the primate, hierarchy.
Primate doesn't necessarily mean gorilla or chimp.
Yeah.
It just means of that morphology.
Yeah, I don't think it's a 9 foot, 10 foot tall billy ape, something like that. But it's definitely got that kind of that movement. Even if you look at look at the Patterson Gimlin. The arm swing. That's one thing. That's a very consistent arm swing with primates. The way it moves like that. So, kind of y'all remember that video we saw, the thermal from down near the border,
mm-hmm.
and that arm swing on that sucker.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it was moving its arms just like that, like Patterson Gimlin did.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you figure with a 4-legged animal, they've always got a minimum of 2 feet on the ground at a time. And they're typically moving the opposite. The right front limb moves with the left, rear limb, and so forth. With humans, if you're striding, you've only got a chance to have one leg on the ground at a time, and so you got to balance that somehow. And by moving the center of gravity with those arm swings, you're counteracting the weight of that limb that's moving. It's got to move like that. If it's too late, it gets more credence to the fact that it's a 2-legged critter, not a 4-legged critter.
Right. Lone Queen says, makes you wonder what's pushing them to cross despite the vehicles. I think they'd surely see and hear them with plenty of time to stop and wait. I think they just don't care. I think they're crossing when they're ready to cross, and traffic be danged.
Yeah.
Would they get to the edge of the road and they just cross?
Yeah. Whatever they are, they're far bigger. The mass of these things,
right?
Got to be several hundred pounds. And because here's the thing, and I've never seen. Well, I did see those prints up at Combs Ferry.
Mm-hmm.
If they've got those soft, even if they've got those soft, the soft feet like that, the memory foam feet, as Steve said, for something with soft feet like that to leave an impression that deep in the earth, that son of a gun's got to have some serious weight to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's got to
be
be
kind of critter.
Yeah, that's got to be a lot of weight.
A lot of well-distributed weight for it to glide like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Where was this white swan? Where was this up? Is this
It's on the Yakima Native American Reservation. There's a lot of timber out there, a lot of logging industry out there, right on the edge of a lot of agricultural base, places riddled with ravines and creeks, and not a whole lot of traffic.
So perfect habitat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, perfect habitat for that sucker. So, I mean, and compared to the one I read, you know, the gait, the long arms that were outside of the human norms, you know what I mean? Moving quietly, they weren't bothered by vehicles. I mean, that's very similar. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's 20 years later.
Right.
So
Angela Monroe says, how many have been hit by cars? Explain that to the insurance company.
exactly.
You're better off just saying I hit a moose.
And
Yeah.
it ran
Well,
off.
can you imagine seeing one of those mobile claims vehicles with something strapped to the top of it?
Yeah. Mrs. Moon says part of the res is at the base of Mount Adams. That's good to know. A lot of sightings in the Mount Adams area.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting, man.
They do tend to like those forested areas in the foothills of a mountain, don't they? I mean,
Well,
think about the
those
Mount St. Helens
are
stories.
those are areas without a lot of people traditionally. Most people don't live on mountainsides,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
they generally provide the big three: food, water, and shelter.
Yeah.
yeah.
Think about the stories we heard of the Bigfoot bodies they allegedly cleared out of the base of Mount St. Helens when it blew its
After
top
the
in
eruption?
1980. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when all that pyroclastic flow came down into the foothills, into those trees.
Killed everything in its path.
Oh, little Doc is adorable.
Thank you. He smells like Fritos.
Kenai does too, and I don't know why.
I gotta give
Must
it back.
be a little dog thing.
Must be. You smell like Fritos.
Well, when you compare this first story to the first story to this story, I mean, look at the similarities. The same description of the gait, the smooth gait, same long arms, same silent movement, and the same lack of reaction to the fact that the car was there.
Yeah.
And those are 20 years apart.
Yeah, it's not even bothered, you know, and so that's pretty interesting, man.
Roxanne says, I can see my insurance agent looking at me when I tell him I hit a moose in the Ozarks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we ain't got a whole lot of them around.
I wonder what old Flo and Jamie would say about that from Progressive.
That ain't no joke.
No, I'm seeing them scribble down. Assuming the person is completely honest about what they hit. You see the body. It's like, well, yeah, I think I hit a Bigfoot moose.
Yeah. Or they're like, claim denied, obviously intoxicated.
Right.
Truth. That could be why you don't see those claims. They just don't turn them in.
Yeah.
Claim
denied.
Yeah. That was doing something I shouldn't have.
Yeah. And folks, I got a question. This is for everybody that's listening and for you three in particular. So if you see something like this, and of course I know the answer us idiots are going to make, but if you see something like this cross the road, do you stop or are you to get out of there?
I'm stopping.
Of course you are.
At least until it starts coming back.
I don't even have to ask Robbie what he's doing.
Robbie's out of the car before you get the engine stopped.
Not only is Robbie stopping, Robbie's grabbing a flashlight and his sidearm, and he's going to be going in the last known direction of travel. Am I right, brother?
Yep. Boys, for our next outing, I've got us a dash camera now.
You know, it's funny. Angie gave me one for Christmas for my rental vehicles when I travel, just for insurance purposes and stuff.
Yeah, in case a big boulder just lands in the middle of your hood front for no reason.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll bring mine too, man. I'll bring mine too. And if you can bring yours, we can set up the rental vehicle and have one facing forward, maybe one off to the angle.
Or, whoever's sitting in the back seat, have that one mounted to the back of the seat, facing back.
Yes.
Because somebody's got to hit the button to start recording.
Yeah.
If it was stuck in the back window, nobody'd be back there to turn it on.
Yeah, I'm down.
I
think that'd be
I'll
cool.
bring mine because mine record. As long as there's power to it, it'll record constantly. So
Okay.
I'll bring mine for the back.
Well, the one I've got automatically records, is always recording, but it's not saving it until you hit the record button, and then it goes back like 30 seconds and starts saving.
Okay. Now
the one I've got's got an SD card in it, and it will record until that card's full. And once that card's full, if you hadn't pulled it out and saved it, it'll roll back over.
Loops over it. That's what mine does too, Robbie. And mine plugs into a 12-volt outlet. So, and I know most of these SUVs and stuff that I rent typically have one up front and at least one or two in the back.
Yeah.
So we should have more than enough as far as the power source goes. Guys, will y'all pardon me 1 second? I'll be right back.
Absolutely. No problem, brother.
Thank you. Be right back momentarily.
We got about 4 minutes till we got to take our first commercial break. So, what do you think, guys? Think the purpose for these road crossings? Think it's migratory? Think they're following game? That, you know, what are they trying to accomplish other than getting across the road?
I mean, it could, like you said, it could be one of 100 different reasons. It could be following game. It could be that's a migratory crossing. It could be that's a territorial crossing. I mean, with so many sightings that they talk about for like in power line right of ways and along railways on the sides of railroad tracks, I'm wondering if they don't follow the edge of the road until they hear something, because it's a lot easier going than walking through thick brush.
Right.
At least that makes sense to me. I mean, if it's following the path of least resistance. If you're going to go walking through the woods, you're going to follow an already made trail, or you're going to bushwhack your way through the woods.
Right. Well, even assuming these creatures, make tools, it's still going to be easier for them than having a hack and slash or getting whiplashed on everything walking through it.
that's also us thinking about us doing it.
Right.
Right.
They can move a lot better through that stuff than we can.
Right.
Well,
And they can see a lot better than we can too. So
that's a fact.
And, some of us are familiar with the woods, but we don't live in the woods.
Right.
None of y'all are Unabombers in training here.
Weren't born to it. I mean,
Right.
if you took an average person today, and put them in the woods with somebody that was like a mountain man, like Jeremiah Johnson, there's no comparison.
Hmm.
But by and large, most humans have lost those skills. We don't rely on the wilderness for our food anymore. We don't thrive out there in the wilderness like a lot of our ancestors once did. So whatever wildlife skills we once had have either atrophied or have vanished entirely.
that's true.
It's unfortunate, but yeah, it is true. We're coming up on the 1 minute mark until we've got to pay the bills. So I'm going to go ahead and start introducing those. And if you all would like to top off your coffee, stretch your legs, run to the restroom, or let the dog out, this would be a great time, because we are going to take a quick break to pay some bills, as Race is fond of saying. And we will be right back with you guys in just a minute. Big thumbs up from Doc. So we will see you guys in just a minute.
The Onyx Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes, made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the Onyx Network website at onyxnetwork.com. That's onyxnetwork.com.
Hey everybody, this is Kerry Pocket Doc Davis from Dark Angel Medical, and you are listening to DA Ex Machina with DA Roberts. You may recognize me or some of my products from Dark Angel Medical in some of the Apex Predator, Lakeview Man, and Wild Hunt books, and you can get those products at www.darkangelmedical.com, along with training classes on how to use those products and save a life. Shoot us an email at info@darkangelmedical.com and be the difference.
The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Unex Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to Research a Haunted House can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unexmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unexmedia.com or amazon.com. In a world where monsters still walk the earth, one author dares to face them. From the brutal cryptid horror of the Apex Predator series to the Ozark legends that stalk the night in Lakeview Man, from the elite warriors of codename Wild Hunt to the relentless investigations of the Nightmare Hunter and the frontier terror of Dark Frontiers. When the Dead Rise, the Ragnarok Rising saga unleashes pure zombie apocalypse fury. And across the stars, war rages in the Lost Legion and Man's Marauders. And in the realm of myth and steel, the world of Vanguard calls to those born for legend. Cryptids, zombies, sci-fi warfare, epic fantasy. This is the universe of D.A. Roberts.
And we are back, folks. Thank you guys for sticking with us. I don't know what it is about these commercials, but half the time I click them and it'll start. You'll like hear the audio start, and then it'll shut itself off. I don't know why it's doing that. So I gotta pay pretty close attention to it. So now the white swan sighting wasn't just a one-off. 2 years later, in 1996, two fishermen in the Yakima River Canyon heard a scream so powerful it echoed off the canyon walls. And moments later, they saw a massive upright figure moving along the ridge. Same region, same silhouette, same impossible behavior. Let's move into segment 3. Robbie, you want to take us away?
Segment 3, 1996 Yakima River Canyon encounter. This is a multi-witness visual plus audio encounter. The source is BFRO, and it is a publicly archived encounter. The Yakima River Canyon is one of those places where the landscape feels ancient. Steep basalt cliffs, narrow river bends, and long stretches where the only sounds are the wind and water. In 1996, two fishermen were camped along the riverbank, enjoying the last night of the day as the canyon walls turned gold and the temperature dropped. As night settled in, the canyon grew quiet. A little too quiet. The men were sitting by their fire when a sound rolled through the canyon, a deep, resonant scream that echoed off the rock walls. It wasn't a coyote. It wasn't a cougar. In fact, it wasn't anything they'd ever heard before in the wild. The sound was powerful enough to vibrate their chests, long enough to make them look at each other in disbelief. They stood just listening. A second scream came even louder. It carried a deep force that suggested massive lung capacity. Something big and something strong and something close. The men grabbed their flashlights and scanned the ridge above them. That's when they saw it. A large upright figure was moving along the ridgeline, silhouetted against the night sky. It walked on two legs, covering ground with long, deliberate strides. The creature paused, turning its head toward the river and toward them. Before continuing along the ridge and disappearing behind a rock rock outcropping. The fisherman stood frozen for a moment, but after the figure vanished, the canyon fell silent again. No footsteps, no brush movement, no retreating sounds, just a memory of a scream echoing off the canyon walls. The men later described the figure as tall and broad-shouldered, walking upright, moving smoothly and quickly, and silhouetted clearly against the skyline. This wasn't a misidentified animal. This wasn't a trick of the light, and this wasn't a creature moving along the ridge this was a creature moving along the ridge with purpose, and announcing its presence with a scream that didn't match any known wildlife in the region.
Another example of feel it in your chest.
Yep.
And another example of observing from an elevated position.
Yep.
Right.
Which is that's prime predator behavior right there, is it not?
Exactly. Dang sure is.
And taking a line from Doc, sort of, kind of, canyon acoustics don't lie.
No.
The Yakima River Canyon amplifies sound because it's bouncing back and forth off those canyon walls. So whatever did this had to have a large chest cavity, significant lung capacity, a creature capable of projecting over a long distance. And, if you know anything about calls and things like that, animal calls in nature, usually most animals that make calls like that they're designed that way. They have a bigger lung capacity and a deeper chest cavity just for stuff like that. Wolves, primates, people would think bears. Yeah. I mean, think about how far elk bugles carry.
Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because if you look at an elk, his chest is like the size of a freaking horse, man.
Yep.
Bigger.
Yeah, those things are large.
Predators who are trying to hide from something don't usually silhouette themselves high on the ridge, but something that doesn't care and is, like Doc said earlier, I'm the baddest you-know-what in the valley and doesn't care.
Exactly. What's going to intimidate Hit? You know what I mean? What's going to intimidate him? Nothing. Nothing at all.
Right.
The pause and look back. Yep. The pause and look back almost to say, yeah, I know you're down there.
Exactly.
I'm the bull of the woods around here, and you don't impress me much.
Yeah. I know you're down there, and now y'all know that I'm up here, and I can see everything you're doing. So catch me a few extra fish. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And leave that lunchbox.
Right.
Yeah.
Go make me a sandwich.
What was it? You may go now. Leave that shotgun.
You may go now. Oh, I forgot you were there. You may go now. Oh, and Robbie, that's it. Isn't it funny how I noticed a lot of similarities in this and those canyon stories we were reading the other night on the show.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very similar, man. Almost like the same type of encounter. Same type.
It's learned behavior. They know. Obviously, they know that up high they can see everything, and they can, they can get a fixed coordinate on whatever they're after is, and if you know, like we were talking about earlier, if you know the area and you are accustomed and have been born into this area and every rock, stick, switchback, and
nook and cranny
of that area, you get up high, you say, oh, okay, I know exactly where that's at, and I know where they're going to go to try to run from me.
Yeah, because that follows right into that natural funnel or whatever it has, because these things, and we've talked about this before, they're not some mindless creature. They're sentient. I believe they're sentient.
They're highly intelligent.
I believe absolutely. We've seen them using tools.
That's confidence, though, is what that is.
Oh, absolutely. They're not intimidated. They're not a fear to nothing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's walking up there like, go ahead, take a shot. And the 3 or 4 of my brothers that you can't see will finish it.
Well, because what have we seen has been the constant the one constant of anybody who has taken a shot on these things.
They tend to go missing.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't get to hear their story firsthand.
Exactly.
Yeah, look at Ape Canyon.
Right.
Those things came back for vengeance.
Yeah, they either get disappeared or they get chased out of wherever they were. And so
Lockett Ridge.
Lockett Ridge. Yeah, that's up. Yeah, I was up near Corinth. Yeah. So in Mississippi. So yeah, man. I mean, that stuff. There's lessons to be learned, especially when you're dealing with a creature like that has no fear.
You know, one thing I like about stories like this, multiple witnesses. It's hard to say they're both lying.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because honestly, most people really don't want that attention. You know what I mean? Most people really don't want that attention. That's
right.
That's going to be focused on them, but they feel so compelled. There's something deep down inside them that compels them to just tell their story and get that weight off their shoulders or weight off their chests.
Yeah, you don't want that smoke.
No, absolutely not.
And had I had experience like this, I would tell you fools, because you take care of it the right way, but I wouldn't be going telling the general public.
Well, I mean, just like the night that I saw what I saw on the thermal. And the thing was, I saw what I saw on the thermal, but when Robbie and DA went to White Light, they confirmed exactly what I saw, exactly where I saw in the form of eye shine.
And we saw it move.
And you saw it move 2 sets, and then there was a set over to the right. And so that was great for me because because the rational mind is sitting there going, am I really seeing what I think I'm seeing? No, there's no way. And and then the other side of the other little dude on your shoulder's like, bro, yeah, you're seeing this. This is really happening.
Artemis said a couple years back she was turkey hunting by herself and found 3 deer carcasses in different locations in the forest. Was dead quiet. Not a living thing was making a noise, and I felt like I was being watched.
Woo. You probably were.
Yeah, more than likely. And Mondoc says, don't forget the guy folded in half and stuck back into the cab of his truck, sighting in a rifle. Yeah. I've heard Kumbo tell that story. That's creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's terrifying right there.
That takes a little bit of force, old Doc.
Yeah, I saw we had a car versus train, and guess who was the loser? And we thought it was 2 people in the car because there was some legs sticking out and some hands sticking out on the same side of the car. There was just one person. They was just folded up. That's like burned into my brain forever.
Well, it
some sites like that you don't ever forget.
Yeah.
It takes some force.
Yeah. Don't run the train. You're going to lose, folks.
When they talked about the vocalizations in this, how many times in other sighting encounters from different parts of the country have we heard it described almost exactly the same way? Exactly. It what do they say? It shakes it rattles their chest. Feel it in their bones. Yeah, it penetrates. And what have we said? That's a big indicator of infrasound. Yeah, which like what we take. The big cats have that. What don't hippos have that too?
They do.
I think elephants have it.
Big gators do.
And gators.
Yeah. That's right.
Just a guy, well, that's a story we talked about on here a couple of times. So the Missouri Department Conservation agent found the dead hunter in a squatch and was told to shut up by a Fed with DOD credentials. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, we've talked about that story on here before.
Which one was this?
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
It's a pretty lengthy story. It happened, well, of course you wouldn't know where it is. It's a little kind of little mud hole in the road kind of place, a little town called Koshkonong, Missouri. And yes, that's a real place, Koshkonong. This happened I've driven through it. I've never stopped. But south of Koshkonong in the Mark Twain, there was a Missouri Department of Conservation agent investigating a poacher, and he found the guy dead, and his tree stand was smashed, his gun was snapped, and he almost didn't make it back to his truck when it realized he was there.
So that was in the Mark Twain, which is where there's been a load
Oh yeah.
of activity.
Yep. If there's a cryptid kind of critter, with the exception of maybe Nessie, it's been seen in the Mark Twain National Forest.
Yeah.
Spencer says, I've said this before on the show. I've personally heard vocalizations from a long way away that would make you stop and go, what the heck is that? Maybe you want to get back in the car and leave. Exactly. A lot of people, when they hear those kind of vocalizations, have the same reaction to Doc in the dollhouse. Nope. So, yeah, and when you hear a resonant scream like that, and you could feel it in your bones, that'll tell you right then, it's not a coyote, it's not a wolf, it's not a cougar, and it's definitely not a person.
Well, it's like that. There's like that recording you got of that vocalization from there in Missouri.
Yeah,
that is a chilling vocalization.
And that one that was recorded there by Robbie's house too, in South Carolina.
That's the one I was thinking about. Yeah. That is a chilling vocalization, man. Holy crap.
I thought you were talking about the one that was recorded in the Mark Twain by a couple of hunters. They didn't know what it was, but it was that's what they call the siren howl. That yeah, they recorded that in the Mark Twain at a deer camp.
Oh.
Like, what in the heck is this?
Yeah, because the one out there by Robbie's place, that's not far from you, is it, Robbie?
No, but just 10, 15 miles, 20 at the most.
Good night. All right.
Really close to Rodney. I mean, it's literally just down the road from Rodney's house.
Good.
So, looking at this forensically, the description of the creature very similar than the first two road crossings. 7 to 8 feet tall at least, broad shoulders, long arms, moving upright with that smooth gait. Long stride lengths, non-human movements, plus the vocalization. Yeah, that's got to be like a low frequency to resonate like that. Plus, if they're hearing it, echoing off the mountain, it's got to have peaks and valleys in that call that are likely above and below what we're actually even hearing.
Right. You may have a boost in the signal from the natural resonance of the rocks, but yeah, you're going to be losing frequencies.
Right.
But I would say the low frequencies probably are traveling better, though. I mean,
yeah.
There's a reason that submarines use those really low radio frequencies.
Exactly what I was gonna point out. The ELF system, the extreme low frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kind of stuff that's killing the whales and disorienting the whales and stuff like that, because it's in their speech range.
Right. So behavior, definitely territorial. Walking across that ridge, it wanted them to see it. That's typically not something you would see in a normal predator.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It wanted them to know that he was the king of the mountain, and
exactly.
And he knew that they were there.
That goes back to that confidence. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
Spencer had a question for us. He says, what's y'all's personal opinion about something so powerful that even the vocalizations give a grown man pause and make them question the whole thing? For me, that's impressive on its own. Yeah, there aren't many things that I've heard in the woods that have made me pause, stop in my tracks and go, what the heck was that? I have heard them like that night down there in Moon Valley. Every one of us, we did that looked at each other like, did you just hear that?
Yeah. That's what I was just thinking of.
But I do remember a time that I was up in Rocky Mountain National and some buddies of mine woke me up, sworn to God they had Bigfoot up on the mountain above us, and it was just elks bugling. So there are a lot of noises you can hear in the woods that'll freak people out. But for something to hit you like that you can feel it in your bones, that's a whole different animal right there.
And yeah, and I had always thought that when I heard something like that, I'd be like, I'm getting out of here. I didn't. I was like, desire to know more intensifies.
Right.
Some Starship Troopers.
Well, and that's saying something about it. Considering you consider you go by at the dollhouse area at high warp. There's an innate curiosity, and then that curiosity could be part of its predator prey mechanism too. I mean,
Oh yeah.
if we happen to be on the menu, do you want all the humans to run away so you've got to expend more calories getting them? Or do you want them to stick around there going,
Right. It would have been a costly meal.
Yeah. Well, that canyon was a perfect habitat for it too. Plenty of water, obviously.
Yep.
Escape routes that would be very difficult for something to chase it, because how many reports we heard them going up almost the sheer side of a bluff, just right up it like it didn't even slow down. Heck, that sighting, Robbie, and who was it you were with when you saw it? With one that was like you said that it fell. It fell, and one of them sounded like it was laughing at him.
Yeah, as me and a couple, we were up there where me and Johnny go up off Highway 11.
Yeah, and that was up a incline that you wouldn't have followed.
Well, there was those hikers out in Canada that caught that one on video, trucking it through like hip deep snow up a freaking mountain and never broke stride, man. It was just cruising.
so you're telling me we ain't outrunning it on uneven terrain?
Shoot. Dude. Yeah, that's terrifying. I'd be making those cartoon sounds with my legs.
So what do you guys think on this one? Do you think it was that allowing them to see it? Do you think that was like a warning or a territorial display, or just simply happened to be walking through the neighborhood?
Yes.
All of the above?
All of the above, yes.
Personally, I'm leaning more towards, I mean, I can't imagine that too many of those things that big would find humans a threat. I mean, we've heard stories already of people that are relatively well armed that don't manage to take one out. So, like I don't know, I just don't see Long Pig with his boomstick being that threatening that he feels that he has to, have one of these, displays. I think it's just a simple matter of, yeah, you see me. Yeah, I see that you see me, whatever. I'm going to continue to get my meal, do what I'm doing, hell with you. You don't bother me, I ain't going to bother you. You're not on the menu tonight.
Exactly.
Keyword tonight.
Doc, you want to introduce the next section?
I would be happy to. So this one is this is going to be called the Toppenish Ridge Track Find. The scream in the canyon that they wasn't the only physical evidence they found in the Yakima region, because just a few years later, a rancher on Toppenish Ridge discovered a line of massive human-like tracks crossing his property, tracks with a stride length that no human can match. And so this happens. This is a physical evidence to his trackway, and this is from BFRO report 3074. This is publicly archived. So the Toppenish Ridge rises like a jagged spine above the Yakima Reservation. It's a long windswept stretch of basalt, sagegrass, and cattle land. It's a kind of place where you can see for miles, but you still feel like something's watching you from just beyond the next rise. Now, in 2002, a rancher who lived along the ridge woke up and found his cattle unsettled. Now, they weren't panicked, but they were clustered tightly near the barn, which is strange because that's typically only behavior you'd see when predators are nearby, when they're going to come hunker in. So, thinking it might be a cougar or some stray dogs, he grabbed his coat, stepped out in the cold morning. So, what he found was not cougar tracks, and it definitely wasn't dogs. Across his property was a line of massive human-like footprints, each one sunk deep in the soft earth. The tracks were spaced far apart, and they were way too big for any kind of human stride, and they moved in a straight line across the pasture, like they were moving with a purpose. So what did he do? Well, he followed them. So the prints crossed. They crossed the fence line without breaking any stride. So they crossed a fence line, which means they just stepped right over this 4-strand barbed wire fence, right? They continued across this patch of open ground, angled upwards towards the ridge, and then the rancher measured one of the prints with his hand. It was nearly twice the length of his own boot. So let's just say this dude has a size 10 and 10 and a half, right? Like an average size. twice the length of that. That's like almost 20 inches, right? So
At least, yeah.
At least the depth of the impression suggested something incredibly heavy. And this trackway that he could measure and could visualize continued for nearly a mile. And then all of a sudden, it ended. As quickly as it began, it ended. The final print sat at this edge of a basalt outcropping. So that's a slab of rock. And you know, you got old trackers. I can track a snake across a flat rock. You know, but he couldn't see any footprints on this flat rock, obviously. Beyond that point, no more tracks, no scuffs, no disturbed brush, no sign of where those creatures had gone or creature had gone. Basically, he knew that something massive walked across his land, stepped on that rock, and was gone in the woods, just vanished. Poof. The rancher contacted, I see you. The rancher contacted investigators who documented these large human-like footprints, these deep, deep impressions indicating a significant amount of weight and a stride length far beyond human capability, as well as the trackway ending abruptly on that rock. It wasn't a hoax. This was not a hoax. This was not misidentified animal tracks. This was a physical evidence of something large, upright, and powerful moving across that Toppenish Ridge. And it did it with confidence and purpose, because it had one thing in mind. That's going from point A to point B, because obviously the cattle were all untouched. They were scared, they were skittish, but they were untouched. So, talking about this trackway, a mile, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's a long way, number one. Number two, if somebody was faking this, they would need consistent stride length, which was far greater than a human, right? So you'd have to be what Steve was. How tall are you, Steve? 6 foot?
Yeah. I'm 6 even, and I think the last time I tracked myself off, because there was a reason we were doing for a work project, I've got right at a 34-inch stride walking normally.
Right.
And that's
so
a 6 foot with a 32-inch inseam.
So let's say we double that. That would mean Steve would have to be hopping from foot to foot for a mile to get that kind of stride length, right?
Oh yeah, it'd have to be like jazz running, you know.
Exactly, jazzercise. And how deep, Robbie? You're a tracker. How deep is something going to have to be, or how big is something have to be to put something that deep in the dirt?
You got to be probably excess of 800 plus pounds.
Okay.
And probably more than that, but at least you got to look at least at that weight range before you're going to make an impression like that. Just
especially on that earth too, because that's kind of hard, rocky soil up there. So You're talking. Let's look. Steve's got, let's say a 72-inch stride, 800 and some odd pounds, going for a mile without screwing up. You'd have to be one of the best freaking hoaxers in the world, and a heavy son of a gun on top of it. You might need to go on a little diet.
Well, when we saw those prints down at Combs Ferry, the ones that Robbie found for us, at the time I was 250 pounds, and I wear a size 11 shoe, so my feet are roughly 12 inches long with shoes on. I wasn't leaving a dent at 250.
Right.
And we were seeing prints that were, what would you say, Robbie? 1/2 to 3/4 inch deep.
Yep, at least.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so
I moved quiet, but I was a heavy ass dude, and I wasn't touching the pavement. I'm just amazed by the density of these things.
So that trackway, that track I photographed up in the Smoky Mountains a few years ago. I showed it to Robbie and we discussed it. That was in rocky soil, going up about a 45-degree incline on the side of the mountain, 1.5 inches into rocky soil.
And that was in Gatlinburg, DA?
Yeah, it was just outside Gatlin.
Okay.
Right. Well, not to get too technical with physics there, if you want to get the full force of something, you got to have the object being horizontal, right? If you're at a 45-degree incline, I ain't going to get into the math because I'm not that great at it, but like Pythagorean theorem, you're only getting a small percentage of the effect of gravity on a 45-degree surface.
So you're only catching a certain percentage of the weight distribution into that dirt. Yep, exactly.
You got it. So if it's an 1.5 inches here, let's ignore the math and just average. 1.5 inches here, that's got to be a 2.5 inch print on flat surface. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
A few years ago, when the lake levels were really down, it was one hot summer. Guy I know I was talking to, he's a fisherman, was up on fishing on Stockton Lake, which is north of us, and it's a pretty big lake. A lot of good fishing up there, and he was on the far side of Stockton Lake from us, and he put into a little cove to fish, and he said he noticed tracks in the soft soil where the lake was down. So he wanted to see what it was because there were no roads anywhere near that cove. It would have been somebody would have had to hike through the woods for miles to get out there to put these tracks out. So he gets out and checks these tracks, and he said they were 19 to 20 inches long, pressed almost 3 inches deep into that soft soil. And he said they were gone in both directions from where he was at. Dude. I said, "Did you follow him?" He goes, "Hell no, I didn't follow him. I got back in the boat and got out of there."
I don't blame you.
But that was fairly soft soil, lake silt, but still almost 3 inches into that soft soil.
DA and Robbie, this is from Northwest, I guess, NW Native Tracker. Hoaxes likely make up less than 0.01% of sighting or Bigfoot tracks. What would be the reason? Fame, to create doubt, or just BS? So that's a great question for you two, since y'all have seen all that, have tracked that stuff, and you're a tracker yourself, Robbie.
I mean, we've talked about this before. The sheer amount or the size of an organization it would take to keep perpetuating this hoax for the sheer amount of years these things have been cited, and not to mention, I've heard DA say this 1,000 times, just walking out in the middle of nowhere that there's you don't even know if anybody's going to walk in this area, just in the hopes that somebody's going to walk across this track. Exactly what's the point? I mean, you almost have to have your head in the sand, and it's easier to believe these things are real than it is to believe they're not, because it would take so much to hoax this. It would take a multi-billion-dollar industry that is a worldwide conglomeration.
Yeah.
That's not to say there haven't been hoaxes. There clearly have been a lot of hoaxes.
Right.
But that's you can't just you can't just look at somebody that's hoaxed some tracks and say they're all hoaxed because there's one hoax. You would be like Robbie was saying, the amount of effort. Well, even that guy up on Stockton Lake, there, for somebody to have hiked in there to hoax I think he said the stride length was about 3.5 to 4 feet. He said it wasn't a big track, like it was taking its time. He said, but the prints were huge. But for somebody to go out there in the middle of nowhere and leave a trackway like that in the hopes that somebody will stumble across it's pretty low.
Yeah, exactly. Who's got that kind of time?
And here's the $1 million question, statement, whatever you want to call it. If you've got, let's say there's 100,000 reports. I'm just throwing a number out there, and 999,000 of them are fake, and one of them's real. What does that mean?
Yeah,
it means it's true.
Right.
Yeah.
If one out of 1 million is real and not fake and not hoaxed, then the creatures are real.
Then
Night, Spencer.
Negative.
Night, Spence.
Night, Spence. And so I'm going to go into this with the forensic stuff here. But what I was talking about the how it ended at the basalt path. This thing, the basalt rocks. This thing probably knew that territory, right? Like Robbie.
Oh, absolutely.
And so what? So it says, I know I'm going to leave a trackway here, but guess what? When I hit those basalt rocks, I'm going to be going like a fart in the wind. You know what I mean? And nothing's good. So that shows to me, that shows foresight. That shows, which is indicative of really intelligent creature, And so let's look at the morphology of the foot. The witness and investigator notes both described a broad forefoot, a distinct heel print, no arch, which is indicative of a flat, weight-bearing foot. The toes were aligned. They weren't splayed out like a bear. And so
boys, I need to step away for just a minute. Go ahead and continue. Sorry.
So this is consistent with other large upright hominids. Now, the soil compression on this, Robbie, this is where your expertise comes in. The depth of the tracks indicates a high downward force, even weight distribution, upright posture, and no evidence of dragging or slipping. And I don't know what dragging or slipping is. Can you enlighten us on that?
Well, dragging would be just that, like when you got a primary point of impact where your foot hits the ground. If you're walking forward, your heel is going to be the primary point of impact. A drag would be like when you pick your foot up to walk, digging your toes in and dragging it out. Sliding would be the same thing. If you're walking up a hill, you know, and you don't have a lot of grip or whatever, and you're not stable, that would be more of a slide. So that's indicative of something that is in control of its body. You know, it's like, how many times have you ever heard of people tracking a tiger or a bear and there being slide marks or slip marks or anything like that? Not because animals are way more athletic than we are. If you know, to take it down to brass tacks.
No, and that's why I wanted your opinion on that. And it's like I think I know what you're talking about. It's like if a wounded animal, if it's back, or like when a horse is going lame or something like that, they'll have drag marks in their, you know, coming out of their step, and that back leg will be tracking.
You hear examples of dragging all the time. Think about, especially you, Steve. How many times you hear somebody walking down the hall in the hospital and hear them dragging their, you know, not picking their feet up completely and dragging the front of their foot across the floor?
Yeah, like a drop foot.
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah, that's kind of, you know, just when you make that step, instead of clearly lifting up out of the track, you make that step and it just dragging it across that like that.
It's like me down at Combs Ferry, you know, after I broke my leg. You know, I was limping some, but if you were to look at my individual tracks, assuming I could have left some, you know, that right leg, I wasn't going to be lifting as high because that knee wasn't flexing. You know,
and if you, let's say in that situation, if you were walking through sand and I was tracking you, your left foot, let's say you were totally in control of your left foot, there would probably be a clear heel impression. And then lift up, there wouldn't be, I mean, the disbursement would be different coming out of the track. And your right would probably, instead of coming clear out of the track, it would probably catch the lip of the front of that track and it would be drag, which would be, it would push the disbursement flat versus spreading it out in the front of the track.
So, I mean, and the thing is, like we had said, they had a mile of these tracks to go. And so the stride mechanics, I mean, if they're doing a 72-inch stride, it's long. That means they got long legs. It's an efficient gait. It's like what Robbie just said. It was moving effortlessly. It was moving without any kind of problem. There was no impedance to its path. And now let's look at where that was too, up on that ridge. It's just like all these other places. High vantage points. There's very little human presence, and they have good access to cover. They have good access to water, and they have their own natural corridors. So it's the same type of environment. It's very similar to the 74, the 94, and the 1996, where everybody described everything moving together, upright, and moving quietly, and in a very large size.
And they know the territory. You made a good point. We were talking about that basalt rock. Basalt is one of the minerals that makes up granite. That is a hard damn rock.
It ain't gonna track that.
Yeah, if I was 1,000 pounds and I don't want to leave a track, I'm gonna be hopping from basalt rock to basalt rock and avoiding the sand.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. So, like I said, that shows foresight and planning, and which shows an extreme degree of intelligence, man.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So tracks, that's a pretty cool. I would like to see some pictures of that. That'd be kind of rad.
Absolutely. I want to see the BRFO. They said there was like video evidence, cam evidence. Since this is an archive thing, I would love to see the video of that.
The problem is getting that particular organization to share anything. You probably got a better chance of getting a politician to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Never mind.
Be right back, guys.
DA, you want me to segue into number 5?
Yeah.
All right. So tracks are one thing, but what happens when the creature itself comes right up to the home? Just a few years after the Topish Ridge trackway, a family in Wapato had a late night encounter with something that was tall, broad, and watching them through a window. Same region, same proportions, same impossible behavior. Now let's move into segment 5, which is from 2005, Wapato Night Watcher. DA, you want to read that one?
Yeah, sure. Wapato sits in the heart of the Yakima Reservation. It's a patchwork of farmland, orchard, quiet neighborhoods where the nights can feel almost impossibly still. In 2005, a family living on the outskirts of town had an encounter that would change the way they looked at their own backyard. It was late, well past midnight, when the father of the household woke up to a sound outside. Not anything crashing, not an animal call, just something moving. A soft shifting of weight on the gravel, the kind of sound that makes you sit up because you know it doesn't belong there. He stepped into the kitchen expecting to see a stray dog or maybe a raccoon near the trash bins. Instead, he froze. Something was standing outside the window. A tall, broad-shouldered figure, its outline illuminated by the faint glow of a yard light. The creature was close, too close, standing just beyond the glass, angled slightly as if it was watching the interior of the home. The father's breath caught. The figure wasn't hunched. It wasn't crouched. It was upright, towering, with a silhouette that suggested massive sides and long arms hanging low at its sides. He flicked on the porch light. The creature reacted instantly. Not with panic, not with aggression, but with a smooth, controlled movement. It turned and walked away on two legs, covering the ground with long, fluid strides, not stumbling, not dropping to all fours, and no sound beyond the thud of heavy footfalls, fading off into the night. The father stepped outside, heart pounding, scanning the yard. The creature was already gone, swallowed by the darkness beyond the fence line. The family later described a tall, upright figure, broad shoulders, long arms, smooth, silent movement, and a sense of being watched. This wasn't just a prowler. It wasn't a bear out there. It was something big and upright that had approached their home in the middle of the night and watched them. That's pretty terrifying. I wouldn't want that outside my kitchen window at night.
I heard that. I'm sorry, Doc had a little accident. So
No worries.
yeah, that's dude, that's scary as all get out, man.
And apparently that is not an uncommon thing in that area. People have reported approaching their homes, watching them through windows, and being absolutely quiet and under control. It doesn't panic. It doesn't freak out. It doesn't attack. It's just not impressed.
I need a lot of new windows.
Doc could be shooting through the windows.
I need a lot of new windows.
I'd be buying stuff that has a security laminate on it, so it's like you're basically unbreakable.
But that's like you've asked me before, DA, with my sighting, my initial sighting when I was a kid, you asked me if I felt like it wanted to get me. And I said, if you'd asked me that question when I was a kid, right after I had it, I would have said yes. But now, knowing what I know, I think it was just curious.
Yeah, because it could have come through that flimsy screen door.
So I think there's
to get you, you'd be it.
Right. I think there's a lot of these encounters and things like this where it is just, for the most part, curiosity on their part.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's no different than when we go to the zoo and we look at animals behind their in their enclosure.
There you go.
They're out walking in the darkness. They come upon a cabin or a house with lights in it. They're just
That's a great
intrigued.
analogy. That's a great analogy, Robbie. I mean, and something else. What if y'all had cooked fried chicken that night? That thing was like, hey man,
y'all want to fix me a plate?
That smells really good.
Throw some mashed taters and gravy on that too.
Right.
Think about all the stories that Greg's told about the grease from his fish fries and things like that gets taken from his man cave.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just, I think a lot of times it is a curiosity type thing, but when you run across certain ones, like we've talked about things with the Gugway or the Janoskwa, Stoneless Giant, whatever you want, those, especially once you start moving further north, they get more aggressive, just like every other animal species is a totally different. Bears, for example, get way more aggressive the further north you get.
Oh
The
yeah.
food gets
Same
harder
with
to
these
get.
things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, yeah, the animals that live in those harsher, colder environments got to rely on a lot more protein to survive than they do roots and berries.
Yeah. So they're a lot more opportunistic. Whereas, around in these areas, I think a lot of it is just a curiosity type thing. And, if you want to use it's like they're going to the zoo and looking at us behind our, in our enclosures.
Yeah, they want to see what's going on in our little enclosure. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's smart.
It's a fun
Nick
perspective because we talk about them having near human intelligence, but then you flip it around and we're the zoo exhibit.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and like Nick said,
Tapping on the glass, going fishy,
Right.
fishy, fishy, fishy.
Right.
and Nick was like, "Hey, what if they see a TV on and and they're sitting on." I like that Western, and then like Wyatt just said, I think we're their TV sometimes.
Seriously.
Yeah, which I mean,
Well-
like Robbie said, just a natural curiosity. They're just like, hey, what's going on in here? Chris RT just said that. What are those crazy humans up to now?
Think
Right.
about your animals. Think about your dogs and your cats that you got in the house. How many times have you've had something on TV and all of a sudden they just start watching the TV just so intent. Animals
I
are
didn't know
curious
this.
like we are.
My grandkids love that show Bluey, right?
Mhm.
That little Australian shepherd, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, dogs can see. They made the show. They did the show in colors that dogs can see them. So whenever they're watching it, this little turkey's watching with them too. It's crazy. So yeah, could be the same.
When I retired Quinna to because she so used to going to work for 10 years,
Mhm.
I would put Animal Planet on when I'd leave to go to work, and she would sit in the recliner and she'd watch Animal Planet all day.
Harley will lay in the living room floor with us, and anytime a dog comes on the TV screen, he'll look up and watch it.
That's this one too.
I'm thinking
Right
those
now,
videos you
Harley's
see
over
of-
here to my left, completely racked out in front of my space heater.
Of course he is.
Think of those
At least
videos
he
when
ain't.
you
At least
see
he ain't crop
okay,
dusting
dog.
you.
Yeah, I think of those videos you see of the cats playing Fruit Ninja on the iPads. They're just like, like people.
Another interesting thing about this particular story is the whole family saw it.
Right.
And it reacted to the porch light coming on.
That's another thing right there. It's like, oh, lights on, better get back.
It also described it in a similar fashion. 7 to 8 feet tall, broad chest and shoulders, long arms reaching mid-thigh, and the same smooth, silent, efficient, upright movement.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all these stories, man. It's so funny, and I guarantee you, if we took all these stories plus the other ones we talked about, plus all the ones we talked about over the last several years, they all got a very common theme. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Very common theme.
Well, when you compare this story with the previous segments, 1974 Trooper, same movement style, same way of walking. The 1994 White Swan, same long arms, same silent movement. The 1996 Canyon Encounter, it moved with confidence and was aware of its environment. And 2002 Trackway, large size and the way it moved with purpose. So there's similarities throughout every one of these stories, and they're decades apart.
That's what's so cool about it.
So we already know what Doc would do if he saw something big and hairy outside his window. Doc's already said he'd be replacing the windows. But what about the rest of y'all? What if you went to get a glass of water in the middle of the night and see this big old hairy sucker looking in your kitchen window at you?
I'd be quietly closing the blinds and then drinking myself into a stupor.
I could just see Steve reach over and grab the Venetian blinds and start screwing it shut.
Yeah, literally. I'd be like giving it that 1,000-yard stare and just like slowly switch the blinds and be like,
while the color drains out of his face like somebody flushed a toilet.
Like you said, Steve, you live on the second floor. I've been in your apartment. If something's looking in your window, screwing the
Yeah.
blinds shut probably ain't gonna help you that much. It won't
Yeah,
get
no
in.
kidding.
Hey,
Yeah,
you'd see Steve. One hand of Steve would be screwing the blinds in. The other hand, you'd hear this.
Exactly.
You would hear a cork being pulled.
Yeah, I was
The
going to say,
bat
I would
symbol
look
would
at the glass,
be illuminated.
just sit it down, and then you'd see me from the outside walking away from the window.
Yeah. Well, Doc, you live in the country. Robbie,
Yeah.
you kind of live in the country. Steve and I both live in town, but this applies to all of us. How many times have you walked out into your yard at night and felt like something was watching you?
Bro,
Lot of
I
times.
just let him out the other night, and as I opened the door, I usually hit the backyard with a light because making sure ain't no coyotes out there. Even though we got a fence, they still come through the gate because I don't want him to be a little snack. And all of a sudden, I hit eye shine, and there's a big old 12-point buck standing right there in my backyard. And it
Doc's
was
like,
yeah, literally, this thing was not even 25 yards away from me, and he just stood there and looked at me. I was like, "Carry on. We're just out here peeing. Do your thing."
D-Cat says nothing's going to look on me at night. Blinds and curtains closed always. Yeah, but what if you got the blinds closed and you hear something like, it sounds like glass breaking, and then this hairy arm comes through and starts unscrewing your blinds?
Lord have mercy.
Just very subtle, like,
Yeah, this is why I have surveillance
Like
camera.
like that scene in Legend of Boggy Creek where he's in the bathroom and that arm comes through the bathroom window.
That's what I was just thinking about, Robbie.
Yeah. Well, I guarantee you that fellow did not need a laxative for some time to come.
Yeah, he was definitely in the right spot to be for an arm to come through the window.
Yeah, that's a good thing he was already on that, because if he hadn't been, he'd have filled the drawers.
That
Yeah,
I know I would have.
If Tim Bones is on, I think I saw him earlier. My brother Keith, he said that movie scared the flitter out of him, and he said that scene right there when an arm came through.
that cat, they had to take him to the hospital. He was in the hospital for a good 2 weeks after that. DA, he was catatonic for.
Oh yeah, it messed him up. And that house ended up collapsing in on itself because nobody would move into it.
I can't blame him.
dude, I mean, even if I was on the toilet, I'd be in the hospital with a prolapsed rectum because everything would have been exited immediately with extreme pressure.
Immediate evacuation.
Maybe that's how he got off the toilet and down to the other room so quick.
Yeah.
No.
That would that be a Rado or a Jado takeoff, Doc?
No kid.
Seriously.
Hillary says my parents have a French door in the kitchen, and if they're late with the deer food, they'll come up to the door and stare in.
That
I've
ain't
heard about the
creepy at all.
squirrels doing that in the sliding doors. He was like, just letting you know the bird feeder's empty.
Yeah.
Yeah, you keep putting out deer corn that keeps disappearing. Then one night you see an 8-foot hairy thing leaning in, looking in your French doors, going tap 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 tap.
Yeah. Is it a deer or is it a skinwalker?
Shaking the feeder at you. Hey, hey.
Yeah. Tapping his hairy arm, going.
Now you would hear this at my house.
Arkansas Hog Hunter Dan says, I've already experienced some of that. It's freaky when you can see the eyes reflect through the closed blinds in pitch black darkness in the kitchen.
No.
Definitely spooks a fella. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
So we got about 5 minutes until we got to pause for another commercial break. So before we segue into the next one, anything else you guys want to add to this one?
Nothing I can think of.
So does the way it just calmly walked away make this more or less frightening to you?
Honestly, more. Because it's like I can be here anytime I want to.
And there's not a thing you can do to stop me.
Thing you can do. Yep. Yep.
So do you think it was curious or looking for food?
Both. It's one of these things, probably curious. It's like, okay, was it that we always joke around about in the South, you hungry? I could eat.
G it?
You know,
Nah,
You don't
yeah,
see-
yeah.
don't to. All right.
Robbie, do you think it was just curious or hungry or both?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say for sure. Exactly. I think curiosity was probably the biggest part of it, but it was probably out looking for food,
Mhm.
and that just
I can see that. Yeah.
I had a deer on the way in, but do I smell pork chops?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, because we've all said this, I believe that they're opportunistic.
Oh yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
If they can get a meal, they're gonna get a meal. I mean, why expend all the calories if I can just go right here and just snatch something up and eat it?
Well, I think that's why so many animals have, especially the ones that kind of live around town now, like DA's talking about, seeing cougars and bears and things like that, getting these dumpsters. I would 100% say that they probably do the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, because whenever you got the house cats going out in the yard and Fifi and Poo Poo going out there to do their business, and they're like, oh, and a moose boosh, and they snatch that sucker up and that's an easy meal.
Well, the Beast of Seven Shoots had somebody's dog in its hand.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, Long Queen. That's a good question. I wonder what the family had cooked recently. Yeah,
Fried catfish.
Fried catfish. I mean, yeah, the fried fish, man. That's a big thing.
I don't mind so much my food being on the menu as long as I'm not on the menu.
Exactly.
So, just out of curiosity, you guys all said you felt like going outside at times and felt like you were being watched. So, give me an example.
I took I came home. I was on split shift, and I came home and I let Quinna out because I usually, when we get home, I'd open the door, let her go do her business before we went inside to sleep, and she ran around the corner of the house, and usually that's what she did, but this time instead of running the normal way she did, she went the other way. I'm like, because dogs are usually creatures of habit, especially on their, when they're doing their business. I mean, you all does Doc go to the same place every single time, just about, or in that same area?
Yeah, I know exactly where he's going to go.
Yeah, and so when she took off the other way, I was like, "Where is she going?" And I thought, okay, there's a cat or skunk or something. And I'd already had that dealing with her getting sprayed by a skunk one night, so I'm like, "Oh no, not again." So I went around the corner of the house, and I used to see my mom and dad's house from my backyard, but since we stopped cutting all that field in between us, we've let the pine trees grow up, and I can't even see their house. So it's pretty much like a little pine. I got my own little Jersey pine barrens in between my mom and dad's house and mine. Well, when I went in the corner, she was just kind of standing there, but she was looking at those pine trees. She wasn't growling and wasn't barking or anything, but she was just sitting there looking at it. And I'm like, "What is wrong with you?" And she came back over there to me, and it was just like, I felt like there was something. I don't know what. I mean, it could have been a cat, could have been a bear. I mean, obviously, y'all all know that there's bear in between there because Dad got that big 500-pounder on his trail cam, but this was way before that. So I don't know. It just felt like there was something out there in those pines watching us. So I was like, all right, it's time to go in. You can hold it.
That's pretty creepy.
Yeah, that's very
You're like, time to pinch run off, honey. We're going inside.
Yeah,
Boys, we are at the take a pause for the cause moment. Folks, we're going to take a quick pause to pay the bills. We're going to hear some words from some of our affiliates and some of our sponsors, and we will be right back. So it's a great time for you to top off that coffee and grab yourself a donut and be ready for the next stories, because here we go. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is Kerry Pocket Doc Davis from Dark Angel Medical, and you are listening to DA Ex Machina with DA Roberts. You may recognize me or some of my products from Dark Angel Medical in some of the Apex Predator, Lakeview Man, and Wild Hunt books, and you can get those products at www.darkangelmedical.com, along with training classes on how to use those products and save a life. Shoot us an email at info@darkangelmedical.com and be the difference.
The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Unex Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to Research a Haunted House can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unexmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unexmedia.com or amazon.com. In a world where monsters still walk the earth, one author dares to face them. From the brutal cryptid horror of the Apex Predator series to the Ozark legends that stalk the night in Lakeview Man, from the elite warriors of codename Wild Hunt to the relentless investigations of the Nightmare Hunter and the frontier terror of Dark Frontiers. When the dead rise, the Ragnarok Rising saga unleashes pure zombie apocalypse fury. And across the stars, war rages in the Lost Legion and man's marauders. And in the realm of myth and steel, the world of Vanguard calls to those born for legend. Cryptids, zombies, sci-fi warfare, epic fantasy. This is the universe of D.A. Roberts. The Unex Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes, made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the Unex Network website at unexnetwork.com. That's unexnetwork.com.
And folks, we are back. Looks like we lost Steve, but we are back.
He put a message on there saying he hadn't eaten yet, so he was gonna drop out after this.
Okay.
Last break.
Not a problem. Hillary says DA is Race the same guy who did the intro to Dave Schrader's Darkness Radio. I don't know. Maybe Race does quite a bit of these. But you know, we're going to jump right back into this with both feet. Now, if a creature is bold enough to approach a home like that, what happens when people encounter it out in the open? Just 3 years after the Wapato incident, a group of hikers near Autumn Lake saw a massive creature upright standing in the tree line. It watched it walk away without a sound. Same region, same silhouette, same impossible behavior. Let's move into segment 6. Doc, do you want to take 6?
Yeah, man. So, excuse me. This is from 2008. It's the Autumn Lake encounter. It's multiple witnesses. So it's a visual encounter, and this is also sourced. This is a BFRO report, publicly archived. Autumn Lake sits high in the foothills west of Yakima. It's a very quiet forest-lined basin where the air smells like pine and cold water, and the nights fall fast and heavy. Now, in 2008, a group of hikers made camp near that lake. They settled in after a long day on the trail, so they were tired and they wanted to get some rest. And the sun had already dipped down behind the ridge. And when that happens up in the hills like that, everything goes still. Well, the forest had gone still in the way it does when that temperature drops and the animals go away and retreat in the dark. So the group was gathered around their campfire. And this is where it gets interesting. They were all talking quietly when one of them noticed movement at the edge of the tree line. Now, at first it looked just like a shadow, but then all of a sudden, a darker shape against the dark woods. It was like it was darker than the dark, right? But as their eyes adjusted, the shape resolved into something massive. It was a very large, upright figure that stood just inside the trees, partially obscured by branches. Now, it wasn't crouched, it wasn't hunched. It was standing tall, broad-shouldered, and it was still watching them right there. And the hikers all froze. They were like, what the crap is that? You know, the creature didn't move. It didn't sway, didn't shift its weight like a bear. It didn't do any kind of false bluff charge or anything like that. It didn't drop down to all fours. It just stood there upright like it was evaluating the campsite and who all was in it. Now, one of the hikers reached for a flashlight and swept the beam toward the tree line. The light caught the figure for just a split second, and it was enough to reveal a big, towering silhouette, long arms, and a head low set between powerful shoulders. And then it moved. And it didn't move with panic or aggression. It just moved with a smooth, silent turn and got the heck out of Dodge. And as the deeper it went in the forest, walking away on two legs, the quieter it was. There was no crashing. There was no snapping branches. It was just this big figure going into the darkness with an impossible amount of stealth and quiet. The hikers just listened. They were like, surely we saw this thing go that way. Surely we'll hear something going away through the woods, but nothing. They didn't hear anything. The forest was still silent. And so everybody there described it later as a tall, upright figure, broad shoulders, longer than human arms, and silent control movement, and it knew it was being watched. And so its conclusion was it wasn't a bear. It definitely wasn't a person. It was a large, upright, intelligent being standing at the edge of the forest, and it was watching a group of humans in its home turf, its territory. So the big thing about it, man, that I think about this, and I've said this on these other encounters, you have multiple witnesses. This is not mass psychosis or mass hysteria. Multiple hikers saw the same exact figure from the same exact angle under the same exact lighting. I mean, that in itself that reduces the chance of misidentification. And then when that flashlight hit it, everybody saw the same exact thing from the same exact vantage point. What do y'all think?
I agree. I mean, I like it when we get multiple eyewitnesses.
I do too.
Because much like what we were saying with trained observers, like the highway patrolman, while they may not have the training that a highway patrolman does, there's enough of them where if they're all describing the same thing, you've really got to give some credence to it.
No, absolutely, because like I said, it's not mass psychosis. This is not mass hysteria. These are several people who are with it seeing the same exact thing. And then something else too is that's been a common theme through this is the creatures are just standing there like a statue, like stock still. Just
not impressed and not afraid.
No, they're just standing there stock still, not impressed, not afraid. And the only time they move is when they choose to move, when they're like, all right, I've seen what I want to see. I've observed what I want to observe. I'll see y'all later.
Well, that's one thing we've talked about before is like deer hunting. What gives the deer away? Movement.
Yeah. Well, just like that video, and I bring this up every time, the sheep. The doll sheep video that Robbie had showed us. It's like, how many was it? Like
at least 30.
It was a buttload, man. And you can say, oh, yeah, there's like 4 or 5 out there. And all of a sudden they just, boom, it's like a sheep explosion. And so that's like this dude here. He just stayed, this dude stayed, or dudette, whatever, stayed upright, never dropped down. It just stood stock still and walked like a human. And when it wanted to leave, it left. And the thing is, it left quietly, which is another trait we're seeing in this region. And honestly, almost any of these encounters we've seen, people are like, yeah, these things moved super, super quiet, almost insanely quiet, like they just disappeared. But we knew they were going away because we saw them walking in that direction. So as far as what it was doing, I think, I mean, I don't know. What do y'all think? I think it was just watching them, just to see what was going on, what they were doing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was just curious.
Yeah. I think it was a
Because
curiosity.
it wasn't being aggressive. It wasn't charging them. It didn't try to sneak into their camp. It was just watching them. And it didn't care that they knew it was there.
It didn't even have any vocalization. So there was no vocalization to really scare the poop out of them, you know? And then based from what their reports were and from what investigators saw, based on the tree height and the silhouette, this thing was around 8 feet tall, maybe more. Had those broad chest and shoulders, long arms, and also the head sunk down. So it was like just this little point of a head sloping down, almost like it was like inset into the shoulders, you know? So you see his big sloping shoulders, these big wide shoulders. And
I think that's because it has massive trapezius muscles.
Right. Yeah, that thing's doing like some serious freaking upright rows. You know what I mean? And so it's that's a common theme in this area too. And then the way it left. What's the other common theme? What is everybody saying?
The way it moved.
And how quietly they freaking move.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff to think about this. And then let's look at where this thing is. Robbie, it's just like where some of the stuff y'all seen up there in South Carolina. A lot of it occurs around natural waterways because that's food, that's movement, concealment.
Well, and too, something that I think not a lot, but I think they move around water a lot because running water like that probably helps mask sound and movement and things like that.
I agree. And you know, what if they want to get in the water and just kind of go with the flow, literally, or
let the current take them downstream.
Exactly. It's a great little travel, little travel route for them, and they can stay concealed. So that area, that Autumn Lake area, is just like the other areas. It gives them natural concealment, access to water, food, and very low human populace. So it's the same. It shares the same traits with the 2005 Night Watcher, the 1996, 1994, 2002. I mean, these behavioral patterns are all extremely, very similar. So I don't know. I think it's fascinating. To me, it is. It's really freaking fascinating.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's very cool. And like Wyatt just said, they're around water a lot. I'm sorry, Robbie, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think a lot of this is learned and taught behavior.
Yeah.
That's why you see it generational over multiple decades.
Well, just like we teach our kids not to cross the street without looking both ways or to hold your hand when you cross the street, they're teaching their offspring the tips to surviving.
Yeah, dude, John Wayne Gates just said, look how quietly deer and elk can walk away. Dude,
moose too. Moose is a big animal, and they move very quietly.
I came dang near face to face with a moose up in the Wind River Range in Wyoming several years ago, backpacking up there. Man, I didn't hear anything. And then when that moose turned around and walked off, a moose is as big as a horse. It went through the brush, and it was as quiet as a freaking church mouse, man.
But one squirrel sounds like a herd elephant.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But in that same encounter, I mean, look at the consistencies across the board. From all these other stories, the movement, the description, the way, the fact that it was not intimidated or bothered at all by the fact they were there, we're seeing consistent patterns of behavior.
Yeah, it's almost like their family, and like Robbie said, like they've learned how to do this over the years, or it's been passed down generationally.
Yep. Well, and it's not a big leap of the imagination or a major assumption to think they do that. I mean, every animal out there, it passes on what it's learned to its offspring. I mean, even deer will, by their actions, show the fawns, hey, you can't go out there now, it's not safe, that kind of thing. Which berries are safe to eat. It's just, parents always impart what they can to give their offspring the best chance for survival.
I mean, take take killer whales, for example, pods of killer whales, depending on where they live, what ocean range they're in, they eat and hunt different things. I mean, you got the ones in the Antarctic who have learned to wash those seals off the ice floes by, a couple of them swimming at it and then ducking down real quick. Then you got
Penguins too.
Yeah, you got some in New Zealand who have learned to beach themselves chasing seals. You got the ones that eat fish in I believe it's Saskatchewan, where they'll herd the fish into a big bait ball and stun them like that.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? It's an adaptation.
Yeah, but they're all killer whales, but they all act differently depending on where they're at and what their food source is. So why would we think these things would be any different depending on where they're at? Different behaviors, even though you got certain things that are, decades apart, you still see the same behaviors in the same areas. But if you go to a different area, the behaviors might change a little bit. Because why? Terrain's different. There might be different. Food sources are different. There might be a different human population in that area, bigger or smaller. Yeah. So I mean, I think that really just hammers home the fact that it's a generational thing, and you don't get a generational things like that if you don't have, a population big enough to keep doing that.
Nope.
Exactly.
I like that. That's exactly what it is. It's just their natural survival instinct keeps them going. Yeah, Jeff Yarrington, Bigfoot homeschooling. That's what it is, man. I agree. All right.
So if a creature can stand silently at a tree line and watch a group of hikers, what happens when it announces itself with sound alone?
Ooh.
Just 5 years after the Autantum lake encounter, a resident of the Yakima Reservation heard a scream so powerful and so unlike any known animal that it shook them to their core. No visuals this time, just a voice in the dark. Robbie, you want to take segment 7?
Yep. 2013 Yakima Reservation night screams. Audio encounter, no visual. Sources from the BFRO. It's publicly archived. The Yakima Reservation is no stranger to strange sounds at night. Coyotes calling across the fields, owls echoing through the timber, the distant rumble of trucks on the highway. But in 2013, one resident heard something that didn't fit any known pattern. Something powerful, something primal, something that shook them to their very core. It was late, close to 2 a.m., when the witness woke to a sound rolling in from the tree line behind the home. At first, they thought it might have been a coyote pack, but the tone was wrong. Too deep and too resonant and too controlled. The second scream came. This one was louder and longer, a rising, chest-shaking roar that echoed across the property and bounced off the nearby hills. The witness had lived on the reservation for decades, and they knew every bit of the local wildlife. They knew what a cougar sounded like, they knew what a coyote sounded like, and they knew what a bear sounded like. This wasn't any of those. The scream carried a weight behind it, a force that suggested massive lung capacity. It wasn't a shriek and it wasn't a howl. It was something in between, something that seemed to vibrate in the air long after the sound had ended. The witness stepped outside, heart pounding and listening, but it was just silence. Then from deeper in the tree line, the third scream erupted, louder than the first two, powerful enough to make the witness instinctively step back. It rolled across the property like a shock wave, and then nothing. No footsteps, no movement, no retreating sounds, just the cold, heavy silence of the reservation at night. The witness later described the sound as deep and resonant. It was not canine or feline. It was not human, but it was powerful enough to vibrate his chest. This wasn't a misidentified animal call. This wasn't a distant truck or machinery. This was a voice in the dark, a voice belonging to something large, something powerful, and something that did not want to be seen.
Again, vibrated the chest.
Yep.
Vibrated them to their very core. I mean, low frequency, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, So if it's a long duration, if it's a long scream, what does that imply?
Big chest.
Massive amounts of capacity. Exactly. So you think about it. Normal adult lungs, we have 2.5 to 3 liters per lung, right? Fully inflated. So that's like 6 liters fully inflated. That's a pretty good bit. You know what the Quechua folks down in the Andes, you know what their average lung capacity is? It's like 8 to 10 liters, man. They have these big old, maybe not that much, like 8 liters. They have these big old barrel chests, right? Because the
air's so thin.
The air's so thin. They live at they live far over 10,000 feet, upwards of 14,000 feet elevation. So the body adapts. So if you're talking about 8 liters for them, what do you think these critters are hauling? 14, 16 liters?
Well, you know? I would imagine you probably got a bigger lung capacity than I do, Doc. You live a lot higher elevation than I do.
Yeah,
so you might not live way up in Colorado, but I guarantee you live higher up elevation wise than I do.
Well, I mean, it's natural adaptation. I mean, you come up here,
adapt to that.
Yeah, you come up here and it's going to take your body 3 days to build up enough red blood cells to compensate to pull in all the available oxygen. You know what I mean? Because you're going to feel like poop for the first 3 days you're at altitude.
That's why when you see in the NFL, when a lot of teams play in Denver, you'll see them on the sidelines hitting oxygen.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why the Olympic Training Center's in Colorado Springs, because it's over 6,000 feet in elevation, because they go down to sea level and smoke the crap out of everybody like a cheap cigar, you know. But these critters, not only are they adapted, these dudes are at elevation, but their lung capacity's probably, at
double ours at least.
At least double ours. Yeah, exactly. So
Lung Queen says, what's the native lore from the Yakima region? Is the Bigfoot there the Forest Brother type or the more vicious type? Most of the lore I remember reading was them talking about the ones that would come in and steal people from the village at night. Not necessarily the Big Brother type.
Well, that's not terrifying at all.
No, not at all. Wyatt says, which means they could swim really well too.
Yeah. I mean, their level of endurance, just like the one I was talking about, the one in Canada, and Dr. Sharp Rothstein mentioned this too. Not only was that thing moving uphill through hip deep snow rapidly, it wasn't breaking stride, dude. It wasn't stumbling. It was like da 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 da,
like a freight train plowing snow off the track.
Right, absolutely. So their endurance has got to be amazing, which means, the vocalization profile, because the vocalizations what does a coyote sound like? Like a little yip,
Yep.
And cougars I've heard a wampus cat. I've heard of a panther in the swamp. It's not like a woman screaming. It'll scare the crap out of you.
Oh yeah.
I've never heard a bear in person, thank God. But
I have, but it's kind of a deep, kind of a chuffing sound. It's not a big overwhelming bellow. Only time you really hear that is if they're challenged, like if they're going to fight another bear, or they're going after a moose or something like that. You don't generally hear big bellows out of bears. Usually it's more of a grunt or a chuff sound.
Yeah, because if they're typically, the only time I've heard them roar is when they're squaring off with another boar, another male,
right,
during mating season.
Josh, I'd say it's comparable.
Yeah, I saw that question. And humans have limited volume and projection. I mean, I've heard a bull alligator, and that down in the swamps of Louisiana, and that'll raise a freaking hair on the back of your neck.
Yep.
To hear that, that deep growl thing, whatever. Bellow.
Just a guy for the ones that, at least it seems to me, the most areas where they talk about them snatching people are much like the. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Much like how bears farther north get more dangerous, it's usually the rugged, cold climates where the most of the disappearances happen, unless you're looking at the missing 411, and those seem to be in national forests and national parks all across the U.S.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Northwoods, cougars are dangerous, especially right after payday. Dude, you're on a freaking roll tonight, man.
He's been zinging them tonight.
You've been like, real much. Yeah, so let's talk about this too. I mean, the witnesses' experience. I mean, the witnesses were they lived on the reservation, grown up there, right?
Yeah.
So they knew.
So they're Native Americans. They know what the animals in the area are.
Yeah, they know what's indigenous to that area, what it sounds like, everything, what it acts like. And then, and Robbie, I don't know, well, you and DA both have probably seen these, how these screams came in a sequence. Initial call, and then they get a little closer and it's louder, and then one right up on you, you know? Have y'all, I've never heard of that three call pattern. Have y'all?
I've heard of calls in threes. I've heard of the tree knocks in threes.
Most calls come in threes, don't they, DA? Especially when you're out on the road. You get one, you're gonna get two more.
Yeah, you're gonna pick them up, but that's a different kind of call.
Yep.
1405, domestic violence in progress. God dang it.
No, I used to love getting a call 5 minutes before your shift ends.
Oh no! If you want to get a call that's going to take 2 hours, reach for the mic to call out. You're going to take a break for lunch.
Yeah,
that'll happen every time.
Don't count on eating a hot lunch. And,
yeah,
I mean, I did EMS for a number of years while I was still in the military. So yeah, I can feel.
Or just go in and sit down and eat because it's going to happen.
No, you always go through the drive-through, son. Always.
I put that in Lakeview, man, for a reason. Clark, at the very beginning of the book, Clark stopped for lunch. Should have known.
Don't ever.
He's like,
when you stop for lunch, you're automatically jinxing yourself.
Yeah.
And then somebody's going to come in inevitably when you're sitting there eating and say, "Been quiet?"
Oh, dude. Don't use the Q word.
Never say the Q word.
Ever.
Hate the Q word.
That's somebody you can tell who's a new ER nurse. Man, it sure is quiet tonight. Man, I'm going to give you 5 across the eye.
Hate the Q word.
Yeah, me too.
Hate the Q word, man.
So, boys, we still got a lot of material to cover.
Oh, God.
Now, hearing a creature's one thing, but seeing it move between homes, leaving tracks behind, and pacing officers in the dark is something else entirely. Just 1 year after these screams, tribal police on the Yakima Reservation responded to multiple calls about a tall, upright figure moving between houses. Heavy footsteps, large tracks, multiple witnesses. This is one of the strongest cases in the region. So, without further ado, I'm going to take us straight into the next one. This one is called the Yakima Reservation Night Stalker from 2014. That's not that long ago, folks. The Yakima Reservation is a place where the night can feel alive. Long stretches of open land broken by pockets of timber, quiet neighborhoods and roads that seem to disappear into the darkness. In 2014, that darkness came alive for several residents in a single night event, triggering one of the most compelling clusters of sightings in the region. It began with a call to the tribal police just after midnight. A resident reported seeing a tall, dark figure moving between the houses. Not running, not crouching, but walking upright with long, deliberate strides. The caller said that it was too big to be a man and moved like it didn't care who saw it. Minutes later, a second call came in from a home a few blocks away. This witness described hearing heavy bipedal footsteps on the gravel just outside their window. Slow, deliberate, and far too heavy to be a human. When they looked outside, they saw a massive silhouette standing near their shed, partially illuminated by the yard light. The figure turned and walked away, disappearing behind the building without a sound. Then the tribal police responded. As officers patrolled the neighborhood, they heard it too. Deep, heavy footsteps moving somewhere in the darkness. One officer reported seeing a large figure briefly illuminated by a porch light as it stepped between two houses. The creature moved with a smooth, confident gait, covering ground quickly without breaking into a run. Officers searched the area and found large, human-like tracks in the soft soil behind one of the houses. The prints were long, wide, and deeply set, far deeper than any human can make. The stride length suggested a creature well over 7 feet tall. More calls come in. Residents described a tall, upright figure, broad shoulders, long arms, heavy footsteps, and silent movement once off the gravel. A sense of being watched or paced. The creature never approached a home directly. It never tried to enter a structure as far as they know. It simply moved between houses, across yards, along fence lines, as if traveling through familiar territory. By dawn, the calls stopped. The tracks were photographed, the officers filed the reports, and whatever had gone through that neighborhood was gone. But the witnesses all agreed on one thing. It wasn't a person. It wasn't a bear. It was something massive, upright, and intelligent moving through the Yakima Reservation under the cover of darkness. And it knew exactly where it was going.
That's not terrifying at all.
And this is multiple houses calling this in.
Yeah.
And multiple officers having the experience to validate it.
Well, and they all, multiple officers heard it. Number one, they heard it stomping, big heavy footfalls, and what else did they do? They were all able. They saw the prints. So multiple people saw the prints, and not only that, they got photographic evidence of the freaking prints. You know what I'm saying?
And one even saw the creature.
Yeah. It said it was moving just without a hurry. You know, okay.
Like it knew where it was going.
Yeah, I'm just moving along through here, nothing to see.
Well, what strikes me is this was on the res, and they were kind of acting like this was something that they've never dealt with before. So that's kind of concerning.
Yeah, maybe it was because they weren't used to it coming into town.
Yeah, but it's not like they, even if they weren't used to it coming into town, most Native Americans don't act like this is something new to them, even if it's not used to it coming. I mean, it's like we're not used to cougars and bears coming in town, but we know what cougars and bears are. And it may be disconcerting that they're coming in town, but it's not like, oh man, we traced this thing and it was footfall. There's big foot track. We know what a cougar's tracks looks like. We know what a bear's track. It's not like it. You see what I'm saying? It's almost like it was something that they weren't even used to. Like it was something different.
Well, I mean, I don't know how big that res is, but maybe
it's pretty good size.
Maybe the dudes out on the outer edges of the res are a lot more comfortable with it than the dudes who are in the town, And
maybe so. It just that just kind of sticks out to me.
No, that makes that's a good point, dude. I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe their level of familiarity with it. Maybe the dudes outside are more familiar with it, and it's almost so you're saying it's almost like they didn't know how to deal with it.
I kind of get the impression that they knew what it was, but they called in because it was outside the house.
Yeah,
they're perfectly okay with it as long as it stays the heck out in the woods.
Right. But when you get close, when you're sitting here looking through somebody's window while they're eating supper, that's a little bit different.
Yeah, that goes from something we know about it in the woods to something that's looking in the window.
Right. Oh man, that's a good point there, Robbie.
And again, the physical description of the creature virtually identical to the other stories.
Yeah, absolutely. From
the way it moved to the sway of its arms to being completely unfazed by the fact that people saw it.
Even down to the tracks. The tracks were pretty much the same exact tracks as the previous stories. Whenever they were able to get tracks, like the one that I read on the ranch, where it was going. The farmer had that trackway a mile long. These are the same exact type of tracks, same type of weight. They're estimated the same way it moves. So, yeah.
Lone Queen says this is getting eerily close to the story I heard of one snatching a native man off his porch while the family watched. The men tracked it down and killed it. The man was found but died from his injuries.
Dear Lord.
Roxanne says, question is, what are the police supposed to do if they come across it? Stop and say, you're under arrest.
Right. Stop. Or I'll say stop again.
Yeah. Or I will do nothing but get my butt back in the car.
Exactly. Carry on. That's exactly what I'd say, Robbie. If I responded, have a good night, sir.
Just the guy? Yes, they do. They have what they call tribal rangers that investigate skinwalker sightings and things that go bump in the night.
No freaking way.
They sure do.
Well, that's freaking cool. That's rad, man.
There's a couple of guys who've made the rounds on podcasts talking about their experiences who are retired Navajo Rangers. I've tried to reach out to them, but I've not ever got any reply.
That's disappointing.
Northwest Native Tracker says Pine Ridge Res didn't freak out about Bigfoot until about 10 years ago when Bigfoot started raiding homes for food in winter. I can see how that would change their perspective on the big guy.
Well, I can see the change in their stance on that. Holy crap! Hillary said Jonathan Dover is one.
Okay, if you got a contact information for him, Hillary, could you send that to me? My email. So, again, this is just plays right into every other story we've talked about tonight. Same description, same way it moved. Everything's just coming up with the exact. And these are all different witnesses. Yes, they're all from the same reservation, but these are people that highway patrolmen, hikers, campers, fishermen. These are all people from different areas and doing different things that are encountering the same kind of thing.
Yeah. Thank you, Hillary.
Roxanne, that would be awesome, but that they might not allow it. What do they? I can't remember what the Navajo refer to non-Navajo people as. I know
Belagana.
Belagana. Yeah, they probably don't let Belagana attend on things like that.
Yeah. 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 Thank you, Hillary. So Hillary said she's on it. So that's awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you, Hillary.
Yeah.
So now the Night Stalker left behind more than just fear. It left tracks. And those tracks match up to another case from just a few years later when hunters deep in the Yakima forest found fresh, massive footprints in the soft soil. Same size, same stride, same impossible weight. Doc, you want to take us into the ninth segment?
Yeah, man. So this is called the 2019. So this has just been 7 years ago. 2019 Forest Road 29 track finds. This was physical evidence with a fresh trackway, and this is also a BFRO report publicly archived. Now, Forest Road 29 cuts deep into the timbered backcountry west of Yakima, where the trees grow really tall. The underbrush is very thick. Thickens into walls almost, and the silence feels physical. And in 2019, two hunters were driving the road before dawn, heading toward the ridge they had scouted earlier in the season. So the air was cold. Hunting season, as forest was really still, and the only sound was the crunch of the gravel underneath their tires. Well, they rounded a bend and saw something that made them stop the truck. In the soft, damp soil of the road ahead were massive footprints. They were fresh footprints. I mean, you got to think these guys are hunters. They know what fresh footprints look or fresh tracks look versus old tracks. They were fresh, they were deep, and they were unmistakably human shaped. Now, they crossed the road at an angle, moving from one side of the forest to the other, and each step was sunk several inches into the earth, way deeper than any human could do it without jumping. The hunters got out to take a look, and the first print they saw was enormous. It was easily twice the length of a man's boot. The toes were clearly defined. The heel was deep, identifiable and rounded. The midfoot showed a flat weight-bearing impression. So it wasn't the arch shape of a human footprint, where there's like this little cutout from the heel to the ball of the foot. It was just almost like a triangle, like my feet, because I have extremely flat feet. I have like a triangular shaped foot. The stride length was staggering. Each step was faced far beyond what even a tall man could manage comfortably. So you're talking in excess of 72 inches. Hunters followed the trackway. The prints moved off the road into the brush where the soil was softer. And here the impressions got even deeper. And whatever made them was incredibly heavy and walked with a purpose. So like we've been saying all night long, it was walking from point A to point B. The hunters noted that the creature had stepped over a fallen log and nearly 3 feet high. without breaking stride. No drag marks, no hesitation, just like it was stepping over a branch on the ground, like for us. The trackway continued for several yards before the print suddenly stopped. Now, the final print sat at the edge of a patch of fir needles and hard ground. So not much they could get impressions in than that. There were no scuffs. There were no broken branches, no disturbed moss. It was almost like the creature stepped onto that fir and vanished into the forest without leaving a trace. Now they were wise when they did this. Yes, Chris, I do have hobbit feet. And so the hunters took photos, which is good. They got some forensic evidence here. They got photos, they measured the prints, and later filed the report. And their description was consistent with large human-like footprints, deep impressions that indicated significant weight to make that depth, stride length far greater than human capability, and the trackway ending abruptly on hard ground. We've heard that before, haven't we? It wasn't a hoax. Again, this was not a hoaxed tracks. These were not misidentified bear tracks because of the humanoid impression, and it was fresh physical evidence of something massive and upright moving through that Yakima backcountry, and it did it with what we can think of as an intelligence and also a certain amount of precision in there. So
here's a thought: what if those tracks had just crossed the road when they came across them, and when they got out and followed those tracks, and it realized they were following it, that's why it went to solid ground.
Right. That's why it went to that non-trackable area, just like that other one did that on that guy's ranch. It went to the basalt patch. Mm-hmm. Right? Because what if it heard their car coming, maybe saw their headlights, heard the engine, and was
got across the road.
I got to beat feet. It's time to go. And yeah, that's a good point, dude. So just kind of like those tracks you had in Gatlinburg, dude, and the ones we saw there in that track trap in Combs Ferry, fresh tracks. I mean, that's high credibility. These were crisp, well-defined, wet around the edges, which means that was Robbie. If it's still wet around the edges, what does that mean?
Things are pretty fresh, because if it was dry, that means they've been there a while.
Right.
Or, I mean, obviously, if it hasn't rained like in the past couple of days, then but if it's just rain, then you can't use that. But you gotta know the patterns of the weather in the area to be able to determine that. But but what you're saying is if it steps in damp soil and it's still wet around the edges, it hasn't had time to dry out. So that's what you're talking about. So just to clarify to people, you got to know the weather patterns, and you got to know what kind of area you're in. So if the soil's still wet and it's still wet around the edges, that means it was freshly done. But if it'd been there a while, the ground around it can still be wet, but that track's going to dry out, because obviously when the wind blows over it, it's going to blow down into that little valley or the depression, and it's going to dry it out.
Okay. Or if you're in a damp area and that track is still slowly filling with water, that's a pretty good indicator that's a very recent track. But the fact that there was no wind or debris damage to it, those were fresh tracks.
And let's look where you are. I mean, this is Pacific Northwest. It's notoriously wet up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's rainforest area.
Yeah, that's rainforest. So the tracks, the prints were fresh, right? They were made very recently. The stride length, over 72 inches. I mean, dude, that's at least a guide. Bro, that's a big critter, man.
Well, it stepped over a 3-foot log without breaking stride.
Without breaking stride? A 3-foot log?
I would have to put my hands on it and shimmy my big butt over it.
That's 3 foot.
That's like over half your body length.
Bro, that's up to my pelvis. You know what I mean? 3 foot. I mean, my legs are only 30 inches freaking long. I'm built like Doc down here. And so you think about that. That kind of movement, that's very efficient movement.
Very.
And the deep impressions. Okay, so it said it went several inches deep. Well, I don't know how wet like Robbie was talking about, I don't know how wet the dirt was, but even us. Like Steve said, he was 250 pounds at the time. And he said, he was barely making a dent in that dirt out there at Combs Ferry. But those tracks that I saw at Combs Ferry were over an inch deep in that track trap.
Wait, yeah, I got at Combs Ferry that particular time. It was July, and it had been hot for weeks and not a whole lot of rain, so that ground was hard packed. For there to be an impression at all is pretty impressive.
Well,
Yeah, exactly.
there again, look at your track from Gatlinburg. That was really hard packed rocky soil. So for it to be in the ground a half inch or
inch and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, for it to be in the ground a half inch or better, that's some significant weight.
Oh yeah,
that's some very significant weight. And then like DA had made point of too, Robbie. You know, and that's a great hypothesis here, man. That what if they were it heard the vehicle coming and was like beating feet and like, okay, I know I can go this way and I'm going to come across this area where there's a bunch of fir needles and hard ground, and it didn't leave any kind of disturbance whatsoever. That just shows how those feet kind of smoosh out, spread out. So that's pretty impressive. That's actually that's super impressive.
Now, for it to step over a 3-foot log without breaking stride, it would be the equivalent of us stepping up onto the curb.
Yeah. Literally.
Any higher than a curb, you're going to stop and kind of, step lightly. But for just to keep walking is like us stepping up onto the curb.
Yeah. Yeah. That's no hitch and it's giddy up at all.
Exactly. And look at the environment. Dense cover, very little human traffic, multiple escape routes, and access to water and game.
Yeah. I mean, just like the other ones, there's a lot of commonality with all these encounters. And because I mean, these guys are hunters, they know their environment, but the other creature is the better hunter. It's the best hunter. I mean, that's its home. Right. These guys only come visit. That's its home.
Well, with this trackway, we've now got a decades-long pattern of sightings. Screams, silhouettes, and physical evidence, all pointing to a massive upright predator moving through the Yakima region. But the question becomes, what ties these cases together? What behaviors repeat? What traits are consistent? And what does the full picture look like when we step back and examine the entire timeline? Well, let's discuss that a bit, boys. I mean, so when you lay the Yakima encounters out in a timeline from the 1974 Sadis Pass to the Trooper to the 2019 Forest Trackway, a pattern emerges. Not random sightings, not isolated incidents, a behavioral profile, a movement pattern, a territorial footprint that spans decades. It begins in the high passes and the canyon ridges, places where the creature can move unseen, using elevation and darkness as cover. But over time, the sightings shift toward the edges of human habitation, road crossings, tree line watchers, window observers, not aggressive, not panicked, just present, watching, and moving with purpose. The creature appears at night, traveling along predictable corridors, rivers, canyons, ridge lines, irrigation canals, and forest roads. It crosses highways without hesitation. It approaches homes without fear. And it leaves tracks that show weight, stride, and foot morphology. And it does all this with a level of silence and control that suggests not just strength, but intelligence. These are 9 real cases separated by years and miles, but they all show the same traits. Massive size, upright locomotion, long arms, smooth, silent movement, deep, resonant vocalizations, territorial awareness, avoidance of direct confrontation, and confidence around human structures. It's not a random animal. This isn't a misidentified bear. It's a large, nocturnal, upright predator with a stable presence in the Yakima region, one that is adapted to move through human-adjacent environments without being seen.
Well, like you said, I mean, some of the things that are from 74 on to what was the date of the last one? 2019 ish.
Mhm.
You know, the stride, the gait, that was consistent over the entire smooth, fluid movement, gliding that was used in several, several descriptors that, then you can look at stuff like I don't know if anybody used confidence like we used it, but it was always like it didn't care we were there. So the behavior is the same over all the pattern or all the sightings and encounters. And it just, like I said, it goes back to, it just screams, this is a pattern of behavior learned over decades. It's just, it knows where it's at. It knows what it is in the food chain. It knows where it needs to be, and it doesn't care where anybody or anything else is, because like right. Doc said, it's the apex. It's the baddest thing in the valley.
Yeah, it's the HMF WIC head mofo was in charge, and the thing too, another thing besides the behavior pattern is let's look at the physical patterns. All of the physical patterns of these encounters are exactly the same, even down to the foot morphology, the gait, the gait of it, the stride, and the fact that these dudes, like I said, and we've talked about this so many times, these are smart creatures. These are smart beings, because what did they utilize? They use natural terrain to their utmost advantage, whether it's a tree line, whether it's a ridge line, whether it's a natural game path or a waterway. They were using all of that stuff to their advantage to keep them as undetectable as possible. And maybe it was just a chance encounter that that they were detected at all, because
right.
How many of them have moved without any encounters? You know what I mean?
Right.
Far more.
Well, out of all of these stories, though, the things you cannot ignore is the consistency of description and movement.
Absolutely.
I mean, from one story to the next, they're describing, these people are seeing the same type of creature, if not the same creature, decades apart on this reservation. And
many of these encounters are multiple witness encounters.
Right.
So you're not just taking the word of one man or one woman. You're talking multiple people. And yeah, Michelle in the 8370s, they know their territory. 100% they know their territory. They're the masters of their domain. They're the masters of their terrain. And so they know, like Robbie said at the very first of the show, they know every little nook and cranny, every little hidey hole, and they kind of can gauge, because they probably use that for their hunting. If they see game down there and they're like, that's probably going to take that draw right through here, that's going to lead them to that creek, I'm going to catch them on the other side in a little ambush. They're
the masters of their territory.
Absolutely. And so that's a common theme we're seeing through all these encounters.
Right. So we followed the trail from the high passes of Sadis to the deep timber of Forest Road 29. 9 encounters we've discussed. 9 moments when something massive, upright, and watching stepped out of the dark and then vanished. It left behind footprints. It left behind screams. It left behind silence. But it never left behind answers. Tonight we saw the pattern. A creature that moves with purpose, watches without blinking, and walks like it owns the land. Not a myth, not a shadow, but a predator. One that's been here longer than the roads, longer than the fences, longer than the lights. It crosses highways in 3 strides. It watches from the tree line without making a sound. It leaves tracks on end that end on stone. And when it doesn't want to be seen, it isn't. Because whatever walks Yakima at night, whatever leaves handprints in steel, screams through canyons, and paces officers in the dark, it ain't hiding. It's choosing. And that means it's still out there. So if you ever find yourself on a quiet road west of Wapato, and the forest goes still, and the air gets heavy, and you feel eyes on you from the ridge, Don't look for it. Don't call out. Don't shine your light. Just keep walking. Because if it's watching you, it's already made its decision on what it's going to do next. Folks, this has been the Nightmare Hunters, and we'll see you guys on the next trail. But before we close her out, there's a few things we always like to cover, and one of those is the 22 a day foundation. We lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, and that is 22 too many. That is unacceptable, folks. Although they're saying that the most recent research, it may be as little as 17 a day, but that's still 17 too many. So reach out to your friends and family who are first responders. Reach out to your friends who wore a uniform. Reach out to your any whatever capacity, whatever branch, doesn't matter. Let them know you're thinking about them. Let them know you care, because 22 a day is 22 too many. And a big shout out and thank you to our affiliates. Doc, you want to tell us a little bit about Dark Angel Medical?
Man, so if y'all head over to darkangelmedical.com, check us out, because we make trauma kits for every walk of life and every situation. Anything from small little Band-Aid pouches to all the way up to mass casualty kits. And if you use the coupon code Cryptid20, that'll give you 20% off of your order. Now, if you have a HSA or FSA account, all of our products are HSA and FSA eligible. And if you utilize one of those products to save someone's life, just let us know, and that'll be covered by our Kit for Life guarantee, and we'll be happy to replace anything you've used to save that life. Whatever components you've used will be replaced absolutely 100% free of charge, because we got you back. More than anything, please check out our training page. We have training available throughout the United States to help get you squared away and get you prepared so they can use those tools with the utmost efficiency and make the difference in somebody's life whenever their life might be at a risk. So get a kit, get trained, and be the difference.
And don't forget to check out Scallywag Tactical, one of our other affiliates. Awesome guys, veteran-owned company. They make some of the best blades you could possibly carry. And if you're going to be going on any kind of outing, you want a good blade. I carry at least 2 pocket knives pretty much every day wherever I go. Check them out. Use discount code DARoberts10 for 10% off your entire order at checkout. And let Craig and the boys know you heard about them here. And you also want to check out our most recent of affiliates. That would be the good folks over at SigwoArms.com. Sigwo is a local gun manufacturer from here in Springfield, Missouri. They make all types of different firearms, including ammunition, and they're your source for whisper pickles, if you or as I like to call them, also known as suppressors. So check out the folks over at SigwoArms.com and use the discount code Bigfoot5 for 5% off your entire order. And believe me, that adds up pretty fast. Also, big shout out to the authors in the group, which Doc is now among them. Want to tell you guys, if you guys enjoy good stories and stories that'll keep you up at night, things that'll keep you entertained, as well as, making sure you got that blanket up just a little tighter, check out all the awesome books by this young gentleman right down here, Robbie Jed Rains. He has 7 in print and 8 about to drop. And you can check all of his books out on Amazon.com. They're available in Kindle, print, and audio. And while you're at it, you can check out my books. Well, you can find all of mine on DARoberts.net. All of them are also available on Amazon in Kindle, print, and audio. Check out all the awesome books by Luca T. Jacobs while you're at it. Luca's a good friend of the show, fantastic artist, and a great person, real super lady. And if you like Robbie's books and ours, you're going to like her. So check her out at lucatjacobs.com or on Amazon.com, also in print, Kindle, and audio formats. And Doc, he just recently finished his first novel. It's in edits now, and we hope to be having some release information for you soon. And also, Robbie's got a new book about to drop, and hopefully I'll have one coming right on its heels. So, folks, again, thank you guys for hanging out with us. We had such a wonderful time, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys hanging out with us. It has been a great night. This has been an awesome show hanging out with you guys. We've gone 3 hours again, and we've really had a lot. And we kind of had to hurry there at the end to get all the information in before the end of the show. But it's getting late on the East Coast, so we don't want to keep Robbie too late. Folks, again, remember stories are journeys that we take together. And thank you guys for taking those journeys with us. And just remember what the quote Kolchak says, judge for yourself its believability. And then, no matter where you are, try and tell yourself it couldn't happen here. So as we close her out tonight with a toast, Doc, you want to toast us out tonight?
Certainly,
We have
sir.
a wonderful old toast, and Doc can take it from here. So.
All right, folks, this was an Irish drinking song called The Parting Glass. But since it fell into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call, good night and joy be to you all. Slanjava. Till next time.
Slanjava.
Plains, the winds are howling, saloon doors swinging, shadows growling. Three lawmen stand tough as rawhide. Yeah, Doc and DA, nothing can abide. Whiskey shots and poker faces, staring down the darkest spaces in this town where legends roam. These boys bring justice, sending evil home. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night. Jed's a howler, claws of steel. Doc's a biter, makes the devil real. But DA's a shifty one, a shape-shifting soul. Can turn to anything, takes any form, takes control. Tonight the chupacabras come to town, sucking the life from all around. But these lawmen, they ain't afraid. They'll face the darkness unafraid. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rain. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night. Full moon rises, bat wings flap, the air grows cold, a chill and trap. But these lawmen, they're ready to fight underneath the pale moonlight. Jed and Doc transform with a howl. DA shifts, becomes a night owl. Together they stand, a force so strong against the evil right in the wrong. Cryptid lawmen, wild and free, hunting monsters for all to see. With silver bullets and grit of steel, they fight the darkness, make the demons squeal. From dusty canyons to moonlit plains, justice rides with wind and rains. Cryptid lawmen, a fearsome sight, standing tall against the endless night.